Chapter 1. Finding your novel spark. Discovering your story's core idea. What makes a good novel idea? Look, you can polish a turd, but it's still a turd. A good novel starts with a good idea. But what the hell does that even mean? Forget highfalutin literary crap. A good novel idea boils down to three things: conflict, passion, and potential. Conflict, conflict, conflict. Without conflict, you've got a snooze fest. Conflict is the engine that drives your story. Internal conflict, external conflict, man versus man versus nature, man versus himself. You name it. Your idea needs some kind of clash. A story about a guy who lives a perfectly happy life and nothing ever goes wrong? Nobody wants to read that crap. Think about where the tension comes from in your idea. What's at stake? What are the characters fighting for? What are they fighting against? Passion is key. You've got to give a damn about the story you're telling. If you're not fired up about it, your readers sure as hell won't be. Think about it. You're going to spend months, maybe years, slaving over this thing. If you're bored, you're screwed. Dig deep. What gets your blood pumping? What keeps you up at night? What pisses you off? Start there. Your passion will bleed onto the page, and readers will feel it. Potential. Room to grow. A good idea isn't just a one-off concept. It's a seed that can sprout into a goddamn oak tree. It's got layers, complexity, and room for characters to grow and change. Can you see multiple storylines branching off from your core idea? Can you imagine exploring different facets of your world or the characters within it? If the answer is no, you might have a good short story idea, but you don't have a novel idea. Think long-term. Can this sustain an entire book? Don't get hung up on originality. There are no new stories, just new ways of telling them. Focus on these three elements: conflict, passion, and potential. Nail those, and you've got a solid foundation for a novel that'll grab readers by the throat and won't let go. Now, stop screwing around and go find your damn spark. It's time to wrangle some ideas. Staring at a blank page is for chumps. Here's how to kickstart your brain and dredge up some killer concepts. Brainstorming techniques for novel concepts. Let's face it, sometimes your brain feels like a desert. Nothing but sand and the occasional tumbleweed. But you gotta dig, baby. Here's a few ways to get the water flowing. What if? Scenarios. This is your bread and butter. Take a real-world situation, crank it up to 11, and ask yourself, what if? What if cats could talk? What if gravity suddenly reversed? What if the president was an alien? The crazier, the better. Don't censor yourself. Just let the questions fly. Then, see which ones stick. The random word generator. This is a classic, and for good reason. Go online, find a random word generator, and hit refresh until you find a word that sparks something. Then, force yourself to connect that word to a character, a setting, or a plot point. It's like mental calisthenics. The more you stretch, the stronger you get. Rip off the headlines. The news is a goddamn goldmine of inspiration. Don't plagiarize, obviously, but use real-world events as a jumping-off point. Take a current news story, twist it, exaggerate it, and explore the what-if surrounding it. A political scandal? A scientific breakthrough? A natural disaster? Turn it into a fictional playground. Combine two unrelated things. Take two things that have absolutely nothing to do with each other and force them together. A cowboy detective in space? A medieval knight who's also a therapist? A sentient toaster that falls in love with a blender? The more absurd, the better. This forces your brain to create new connections and come up with something truly unique. Don't expect gold on the first try. Brainstorming is about quantity over quality. Get a bunch of crap ideas down on paper and then sift through them later. You'll be surprised at what gems you can find lurking in the garbage. And remember, the most important thing is to shut off your inner critic. Don't judge. Just write. The time for editing comes later. Now get to work. Your novel isn't going to write itself. This is where the rubber meets the road. You got to find the why behind your idea. Why the story? Why you? Identifying your personal connection to the story. Look, ideas are a dime a dozen. What separates a good novel from a great one is the author's personal investment. If you're just going through the motions, your readers will smell a mile away. You got to bleed a little on the page. Here's how to tap into that personal connection. Find the emotional core. Every story has an emotional heart. What is it in your story? What universal human experience are you exploring? Love? Loss? Redemption? Betrayal? Connect that emotional core to something in your own life. Have you experienced a similar feeling? Can you draw on your own memories and emotions to make the story more authentic? If you can't find that emotional connection, you're writing a story for the wrong reasons. Explore your passions and frustrations. What are you passionate about? What pisses you off? What do you want to change about the world? Use your story as a vehicle to explore these passions and frustrations. Don't preach, but don't shy away from injecting your own beliefs and values into the narrative. Your readers don't want a lecture, but they do want to see a story with substance. Connect to your characters. Your characters are extensions of yourself, whether you realize it or not. Even if they're villains, you need to understand their motivations. Find aspects of yourself in each of your characters, their strengths, their weaknesses, their hopes, their fears. This will make them more believable and relatable, and it will give you a deeper understanding of their journey. Ask the so what question after you've identified the emotional core, your passions, and your connection to your characters. Ask yourself, so what? Why does this story matter? What impact do you want to have on your readers? What do you want them to take away from it? If you can't answer that question, your story is just empty calories. This isn't about writing a memoir. It's about using your own experiences to fuel your imagination and create a story that resonates with readers on a deeper level. Don't be afraid to get personal. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. The best stories are the ones that come from the heart. Now, dig deep and find your damn connection. Exploring themes and messages. Let's talk about themes. Not the cheesy kind you see in greeting cards, but the guts of your story. The stuff that sticks with readers long after they've finished the last page. What is a theme and why does it matter? A theme, simply put, is the underlying message or idea that your story explores. It's not the plot, it's what the plot means. It's not the moral of the story, it's the question the story asks. Think of it like this. The plot is the what, and the theme is the why. Beyond the surface, the plot is what happens, who did what, where, and when. But the theme delves deeper. It's about the why behind those actions. Why did the hero make that sacrifice? Why did the villain choose that path? The theme answers those questions. A story about a bank robbery is just a plot. A story about a bank robbery that explores the themes of greed, desperation, and the corrupting influence of power has substance. The reader's takeaway. A strong theme gives your readers something to chew on. It's what makes them think about the story long after they've finished reading it. A theme elevates your novel from mere entertainment to something meaningful. It gives the reader something to relate to, something to learn, something to question. It makes your story matter. Unifying force. Your theme acts like a spine for your novel. It connects all the disparate elements, plot, character, setting, and gives them a common purpose. It ensures that everything in your story is working towards a central idea. A weak or non-existent theme leads to a meandering, unfocused narrative. A strong theme creates a cohesive and impactful story, not a sermon. Just to be clear, a theme is not a lecture. You're not trying to force-feed your readers a moral lesson. Your theme should emerge naturally from the story, not be imposed upon it. Let the characters grapple with the big questions and let the readers draw their own conclusions. Subtlety is key. Don't overthink it at this stage. You don't need to have your theme perfectly nailed down before you start writing. But you do need to be aware of the potential for deeper meaning in your story. A well-defined theme will elevate your novel and give it lasting power. Now get out there and find the heart of your story. Identifying themes relevant to your idea. You got a novel idea percolating. But what's it about, really? What big questions is it wrestling with? Here's how to dig those themes out. Characters' core conflict. The conflicts your characters face are a goldmine for thematic exploration. What internal struggles are they battling? Are they grappling with questions of identity, morality, or purpose? Their inner turmoil often points to deeper thematic concerns. For example, A character struggling with addiction might point to themes of self-destruction, redemption, or the power of human connection. The societal undercurrents. No story exists in a vacuum. What's happening in the world around your characters? Are there social, political, or economic issues that are relevant to their experiences? These external forces can often highlight broader themes. A story set during a time of political upheaval might explore themes of power, corruption, and resistance. Recurring motifs and symbols. Pay attention to any recurring images, objects, or phrases in your story. These motifs and symbols can often point to underlying themes. A recurring image of a broken mirror, for example, might suggest themes of fractured identity or distorted perceptions. The what if deep dive. Remember those what if questions you used for brainstorming plot ideas? Now, apply them to theme. What if this character succeeds? What does that say about the world? What if they fail? What does that reveal about human nature? Exploring these hypothetical scenarios can help you uncover the deeper meaning of your story. Ask others. Talk to other writers or trusted readers about your idea. Sometimes an outside perspective can help you see themes that you've missed. Explain your idea and ask them what they think the story is really about. You might be surprised by their insights. Remember, you don't have to force a theme into your story. Let it emerge organically from the characters, the plot, and the setting. The most powerful themes are the ones that feel authentic and true to the story you're telling. Now get out there and dig up those thematic nuggets, weaving themes naturally into the narrative. Nobody wants a lecture disguised as a novel. You got to be subtle, like slipping arsenic into a wedding cake. Here's how to lace those themes into the fabric of your story. Character actions and choices. This is your most powerful tool. Show, don't tell, remember? Let your characters embody the themes through their actions and decisions. A character consistently choosing integrity over personal gain reinforces a theme of honor and sacrifice. A character driven by greed, regardless of the consequences, reinforces a theme of corruption. Symbolic imagery and motifs. Sprinkle your story with meaningful symbols and motifs. These recurring elements can subtly reinforce your themes without being preachy. A recurring image of a wilting rose could symbolize fading beauty, lost love, or the ephemeral nature of life. Dialogue with depth. Inject thematic questions into your characters' conversations. Don't have them explicitly state the theme, but let them grapple with the ideas related to it. Two characters debating the merits of loyalty versus ambition is far more compelling than one character lecturing the reader about the importance of loyalty. Setting as a thematic mirror. Your setting isn't just a backdrop. It can be a reflection of your themes. A dystopian society reflects themes of oppression and control. A lush, vibrant forest could represent themes of life, growth, and interconnectedness. Use your setting to amplify your thematic message. Subplot symbiosis. Use subplots to explore different facets of your central theme. If your main plot explores the theme of betrayal, a subplot could explore the consequences of forgiveness. Subplots can add depth and complexity to your thematic exploration. The key is subtlety. Don't force it. Let your themes emerge organically from the story. If you've done your job right, your readers will grasp the underlying message without even realizing they're being taught anything. They'll simply feel the weight of the story, the resonance of the ideas, and the lasting impact of your narrative. Now, get to work weaving those threads. Let's talk about who you're writing for. It ain't enough to just say everybody. You got to know your target. Defining your target audience. Why know your audience? Look, writing a novel without knowing your audience is like shooting a shotgun in the dark. You might hit something, but you're probably just wasting ammo. Understanding your target audience is crucial for several reasons. Meeting expectations. Readers come to a novel with certain expectations based on genre, subject matter, and marketing. If you're writing a cozy mystery, your readers expect a certain level of charm, intrigue, and lack of graphic violence. If you deliver a blood-soaked thriller, you're going to have some disappointed customers. Knowing your audience allows you to meet their expectations and deliver a satisfying reading experience. Hitting the right tone. The tone of your novel needs to resonate with your target audience. A young adult novel should have a different tone than a literary fiction novel. The language, the humor, the pacing, it all needs to be tailored to the sensibilities of your readers. If you're writing for a younger audience, you need to ditch the flowery prose and get straight to the point. Marketability. Knowing your audience helps you market your novel effectively. If you know who you're writing for, you can target your marketing efforts to reach those readers. You'll know which platforms to use, which influencers to connect with, and which keywords to use in your book description. A targeted marketing strategy is far more effective than a generic one. Finding your tribe. Writing is a lonely business, but knowing your audience can help you find your tribe, the readers who will connect with your work on a deeper level. These are the readers who will become your loyal fans, who will recommend your book to others, and who will support your future projects. Avoiding offense. Let's face it, some topics are more sensitive than others. Knowing your audience can help you avoid inadvertently offending or alienating them. A joke that might land with one audience could fall flat or even be offensive to another. Be mindful of your audience's values and sensitivities. Bottom line, knowing your audience is not about pandering. It's about understanding who you're writing for so you can craft a story that resonates with them, market your book effectively, and find your tribe of loyal readers. Don't be a goddamn fool. Know your audience. Identifying potential readers and their expectations. You can't just wave a magic wand and know who's going to pick up your book. You got to do some digging. Here's how to start. Genre demographics. Start with the basics. What are the typical demographics for your genre? Age, gender, education level, income. These are all important factors to consider. Do some research online and see what studies have been done on the readership of your genre. Are you writing sci-fi, romance, historical fiction? Each genre has its own unique audience. Comparable authors. Who are the authors that write similar books to yours? What kind of readers do they attract? Read their reviews on Amazon and Goodreads and see what their fans are saying. What do they like about those authors? What are they looking for in a book? This can give you valuable insights into the expectations of your potential readers. Tropes and conventions. Every genre has its own set of tropes and conventions. What are the common themes, character archetypes, and plot devices that readers expect to see in your genre? Are you adhering to those conventions or subverting them? If you're subverting them, be prepared to explain why and how. Reading habits. Where do your potential readers buy their books? Do they prefer ebooks or paperbacks? Are they active on social media? Do they attend book clubs or literary festivals? Understanding their reading habits will help you reach them more effectively. Desires and needs. What are your potential readers looking for in a book? Are they looking for escapism, intellectual stimulation, emotional catharsis? Understanding their desires and needs will help you craft a story that resonates with them on a deeper level. Don't just make assumptions. Do your homework. The more you know about your potential readers, the better equipped you'll be to write a book that they'll love. Now, get out there and start profiling those readers, adapting your story to resonate with your audience. This ain't about selling out. It's about being smart. You're not changing your story's core, just making sure it lands with the right punch. Here's how. Language and tone calibration. Adjust your writing style to match your target audience's sensibilities. For a younger audience, keep the language clear and concise, ditching complex jargon and lengthy descriptions. For a more sophisticated audience, you can use more nuanced language and explore complex themes. Match the tone to the genre as well. Humorous for comedies, suspenseful for thrillers, and so on. Content sensitivity filters. Be mindful of potentially sensitive content. What might be acceptable to one audience could be offensive to another. Consider cultural sensitivities, trigger warnings, and potentially controversial themes. This isn't about censorship, but about being aware of your audience's values and beliefs. Genre trope mastery. In subversion, understand the tropes and conventions of your genre like the back of your hand. Then, decide which ones to embrace and which ones to subvert. Subverting expectations can be a powerful way to surprise and delight your readers, but it's important to know why you're doing it. Don't just subvert for the sake of being different. Pacing adjustment. Adjust the pacing of your story to match your audience's attention span. Younger audiences may prefer a faster pace with shorter chapters and more action. Older audiences may be more willing to invest in slower burning stories with more character development. Relatability factor boost. Make your characters and situations relatable to your target audience. What are their hopes, fears, and dreams? What challenges do they face in their daily lives? Inject those elements into your story to create a connection with your readers. Remember, you're not writing a different story. You're writing the same story, but with a keen awareness of who you're writing for. It's like adjusting the volume on a stereo. You're not changing the music, just making sure it sounds good to the people in the room. Now get to work and make that story sing. Chapter 2. Building your novel's world. World building fundamentals. The importance of a believable setting. A believable setting ain't just window dressing. It's the bedrock upon which your entire story rests. If it's shaky, the whole damn thing collapses. Here's why it matters. Immersion factor. A well-crafted, believable setting pulls the reader in and makes them forget they're reading a book. It allows them to escape into your world and experience the story firsthand. A flimsy, poorly developed setting does the opposite. It reminds the reader that they're just reading words on a page. Character influence. Your setting shapes your characters. The environment they live in, the resources they have access to, the challenges they face. All of these factors influence their personalities, their motivations, and their choices. A character raised in a harsh, unforgiving environment will be different from a character raised in a sheltered, idyllic one. Plot driver. The setting can also drive the plot. Natural disasters, political unrest, economic hardship, all of these can create conflict and propel the story forward. A well-chosen setting can add layers of complexity and intrigue to your plot. Thematic resonance. The setting can also reinforce your themes. A dystopian society can highlight themes of oppression and control. A lush, vibrant wilderness can symbolize themes of freedom and connection to nature. Internal consistency. A believable setting has to be internally consistent. The rules of your world need to make sense and stay consistent throughout the story. If you establish that magic is rare and difficult to use, you can't suddenly have characters throwing around fireballs without explanation. Inconsistencies break the reader's immersion and make your world feel fake. A believable setting is more than just a pretty backdrop. It's an integral part of your story that influences your characters, drives the plot, and reinforces your themes. Don't skimp on the details. Build your world with care, and your readers will thank you for it. Now, get to building something real. Fantasy, sci-fi, and contemporary worlds. Each type of world demands a different approach to world building. You can't just slap dragons on a map and call it a day. Here's the lowdown. Fantasy worlds, the sky's the limit, but that's also the danger. You can create your own magic systems, races, and histories, but you need to make sure it all makes sense within the context of your world. Magic systems define clear rules for your magic. What can it do? What are its limitations? What are the consequences of using it? A well-defined magic system adds depth and believability to your world. Unique races don't just rip off elves and dwarves. Create unique races with their own cultures, histories, and physical characteristics. Think about how their biology affects their society. Rich history. A believable fantasy world needs a history. What wars have been fought? What empires have risen and fallen? How has the past shaped the present? Sci-fi worlds, grounded in science, even if it's speculative science. The technology, social structures, and political systems should be based on plausible extrapolations of current trends. Plausible technology. Your technology needs to be believable, even if it's far-fetched. Think about the scientific principles behind it and the potential consequences of its use. Social commentary. Sci-fi is often used to explore social and political issues. What commentary are you making about the future of humanity? Extrapolate from today. Base your future world on current trends and extrapolate them to their logical conclusions. What will society look like in 50 years? 100 years? 1,000 years? Contemporary worlds might seem easy, but it's not. Readers know this world, so you can't fudge the details. Accuracy is paramount. Authenticity is key. Research your setting thoroughly. Get the details right. Use real places and events as inspiration. Subtlety in detail. You don't need to explain everything. Trust your readers to understand the context. Sprinkle in details that bring the world to life. Show, don't tell, still applies even in a contemporary setting. You can use descriptions to create atmosphere and mood. Don't just tell us it's raining. Show us the puddles reflecting the city lights. No matter what type of world you're building, remember to focus on consistency, detail, and believability. The more effort you put into building your world, the more immersive and engaging your story will be. Now, get out there and start creating. Realism versus idealism in world creation. You can't just copy and paste the real world into your novel, unless you're writing nonfiction, dummy. But you also can't just make up a bunch of random crap without any grounding in reality. Here's how to strike the right balance. Realism as foundation. Start with a foundation of realism. Even in fantasy and sci-fi, you need to ground your world in some kind of reality. What are the basic laws of physics in your world? What are the fundamental human needs? What are the basic social structures? Answering these questions will give your world a sense of believability, even if it's filled with magic and spaceships. Idealism as inspiration. Once you have a solid foundation of realism, you can start to inject elements of idealism. What are the best aspects of human nature? What are the things we strive for? What kind of world would we create if we had the power to do so? Injecting these elements of idealism can make your world more inspiring and hopeful. Finding the sweet spot. The key is to find the right balance between realism and idealism. Too much realism, and your world will be depressing and uninspired. Too much idealism, and your world will be unrealistic and unbelievable. Aim for a world that is both believable and inspiring, a world that reflects both the best and the worst of humanity. Thematic considerations. Let your themes guide your decisions about realism and idealism. If you're exploring themes of hope and redemption, you might lean more towards idealism. If you're exploring themes of corruption and despair, you might lean more towards realism. Internal consistency. Again, no matter where you land on the spectrum of realism and idealism, make sure your world is internally consistent. If you create a world where everyone is inherently good, then you need to explain why there is no conflict. If you create a world where everyone is inherently evil, then you need to explain how society functions. Creating a believable world is about more than just making up stuff. It's about finding the right balance between realism and idealism, and using your setting to enhance your story and explore your themes. Now, get out there and start building a world that is both believable and inspiring. Defining geography, history, and culture. Creating detailed maps and landscapes. A map ain't just pretty, it's the blueprint for your world. It dictates where things are, why they are there, and how they interact. Beyond the physical, a map tells a story. It shows trade routes, natural resources, political boundaries, and historical landmarks. Think about how the geography of your world has shaped its history and culture. Are there mountains that have isolated certain regions? Are there rivers that have facilitated trade? Consider climate and biomes. Don't just randomly throw deserts and jungles onto your map. Think about the climate and biomes of your world. Where are the rain shadows? Where are the temperate zones? How does the climate affect the vegetation and animal life? Topography is key. Don't just draw flat plains. Add mountains, valleys, hills, and coastlines. Think about how these features affect travel, agriculture, and settlement patterns. Are there natural choke points that would be strategically important? Start broad, then zoom in. Start with a broad overview of your world, then zoom in on specific regions. Create detailed maps of cities, forests, and other important locations. The more detail you add, the more real your world will feel. Landscapes tell stories. A detailed description of a landscape can tell the reader more than just what it looks like. It can also reveal information about the history, culture, and inhabitants of that region. A desolate wasteland might suggest a history of war or environmental disaster. A lush, fertile valley might suggest a thriving agricultural society. Tools of the trade. You don't need to be a cartographer to create a map. There are plenty of online tools and software programs that can help you create detailed maps and landscapes. Experiment with different styles and techniques until you find something that works for you. Don't underestimate the power of a well-crafted map. It's not just a visual aid. It's a tool for world building that can help you create a more immersive and engaging story. Now get out there and start mapping, developing a rich and consistent history. A world without a history is like a person without a memory, hollow and unconvincing. You got to give your world some backstory. Major events and turning points. What are the defining moments in your world's history? Wars, revolutions, natural disasters, religious movements. These events shape the course of history and influence the present. Founding myths and legends. Every culture has its founding myths and legends. What are the stories that your people tell about their origins? These stories can reveal important values and beliefs. Key figures and leaders. Who are the heroes and villains of your world's history? What were their accomplishments and failures? How are they remembered today? Cause and effect. History isn't just a series of random events. It's a chain of cause and effect. Every event has consequences that ripple through time. Think about how the past has shaped the present. Timeline construction. Create a timeline of your world's history, starting with the earliest known events and working your way to the present. This will help you keep track of the major events and ensure consistency. Hidden histories. Not all history is written in textbooks. What are the hidden histories of your world? The stories of the marginalized and oppressed. These stories can add depth and complexity to your world. Consistency is king. Once you've established the history of your world, stick to it. Don't contradict yourself or introduce new events that don't fit with the established timeline. A rich and consistent history is essential for creating a believable world. It gives your world depth, complexity, and a sense of realism. Don't just make up a bunch of random crap. Think about how the past has shaped the present and how it continues to influence the lives of your characters. Now, get out there and start digging up some history, designing unique cultural norms and traditions. Think of culture as the software running on the hardware of your world. Without it, you just got a bunch of rocks and trees. Here's what to consider. Start by nailing down the basics. What are their values? What do they consider important? Honor? Family? Individualism? Survival? These core values will influence everything else. How do they dress? What do they eat? What kind of music do they listen to? Don't just copy real-world cultures. Create something new and unique. What are their social structures? Is it a matriarchal or patriarchal society? Is there a rigid class system or a more egalitarian structure? This impacts everything from politics to personal relationships. Religion and belief systems play a huge role in shaping culture. What gods do they worship? What are their creation myths? How do they explain the world around them? Don't forget traditions and rituals. What are their holidays and celebrations? What ceremonies do they perform for births, deaths, and marriages? These traditions can reveal a lot about their values and beliefs. The environment also influences culture. A desert-dwelling society will have different norms than a forest-dwelling one. How has the environment shaped their customs and traditions? And remember, culture isn't static. It evolves over time, influenced by historical events, technological advancements, and contact with other cultures. Think about how your culture has changed over the centuries. By paying attention to these details, you can create cultures that are both believable and engaging, cultures that add depth and richness to your world. Adding depth and detail to your world. Using the five senses to immerse the reader. Too many writers focus solely on the visual, describing what the world looks like. But that's only one piece of the puzzle. You gotta engage all five senses to truly immerse your reader. Think about the sounds of your world. Is it a bustling city with the clatter of carts and the cries of vendors? Or a silent forest with the rustling of leaves and the hooting of owls? What are the unique sounds of your world? Don't just say it's noisy. Describe the specific sounds. Engage the sense of smell. What are the aromas of your world? The scent of spices in the marketplace? The stench of decay in the slums? The fresh, clean smell of rain on the desert? Smell is a powerful sense that can evoke strong emotions and memories. Don't neglect the sense of touch. What does it feel like to be in your world? The rough texture of stone walls? The soft caress of a silk gown? The burning heat of the sun on your skin? The icy chill of the wind? And of course, taste is important too. What are the flavors of your world? The sweet taste of honey wine? The bitter taste of herbs? The salty taste of the sea air? Food and drink are an important part of any culture, and they can tell the reader a lot about your world. Engaging all five senses will make your world feel more real and immersive. It's not enough to just tell the reader what the world looks like. You need to show them what it feels, smells, sounds, and tastes like too, creating a consistent internal logic. A reader will forgive a lot, but they won't forgive you breaking the rules you established. Your world, no matter how fantastical, needs to operate by a consistent set of principles. Think of it like this: even magic needs rules. If anyone can do anything at any time, then there's no tension, no stakes, and no reason for the reader to care. Decide how magic works, who can use it, and what the limitations are. Stick to those rules. The same goes for technology. If you have advanced technology, think about how it affects society, warfare, and everyday life. Don't just introduce cool gadgets without considering the consequences. Your cultures also need to be internally consistent. Their beliefs, values, and social structures should all align. A society that values honor above all else wouldn't tolerate corruption in its government. If you introduce a new element to your world, think about how it affects everything else. A new resource might lead to conflict, a new invention might change the way people live, and a new religion might challenge the existing social order. Keep track of all the details of your world in a world-building Bible. This could be a simple notebook or a complex database, but it's important to have a central repository for all the information about your world. This will help you avoid inconsistencies and keep your world feeling real. Don't just make stuff up as you go along. Plan ahead, think things through, and create a world that makes sense. Avoiding common world-building pitfalls. World building is fun, but it's easy to get lost in the weeds. Here are some common mistakes to avoid. Don't fall into the trap of info dumping. No one wants to read a history textbook disguised as a novel. Weave the details of your world into the story naturally through dialogue, action, and description. Show, don't tell. Avoid excessive exposition. It's okay to draw inspiration from existing cultures, but don't just copy and paste. Give your cultures a unique spin and make sure they fit within the context of your world. Tolkien did it. You shouldn't. Also, ask if the setting is the story or if the story is in the setting. Don't make your world too perfect. Conflict is the engine of storytelling. A world without problems is a world without a story. Introduce challenges, conflicts, and imperfections to make your world more realistic and engaging. Consider the ecological impact. Think about the environment of your world, especially if you have magic or advanced technology. How does your world's population impact its natural resources? Are there environmental problems? If you don't know, consider researching more. Don't neglect the small details. It's the little things that bring a world to life. The way people dress, the food they eat, the customs they follow. These details can make your world feel more real and lived in. And finally, ask yourself, is any of this adding to the story, or does it just sound good? Avoid these pitfalls, and you'll be well on your way to creating a world that is both believable and engaging. Now go forth and build wisely. Chapter 3. Creating compelling characters. Character archetypes and their uses. Understanding common archetypes: hero, villain, mentor, etc. Forget cardboard cutouts. Archetypes are the bones of your characters. Understand them, and you can build something truly memorable. Let's break down some of the classics. The hero, the protagonist, the one we're rooting for. But don't mistake hero for perfect. They can be flawed, conflicted, even reluctant. They usually undergo a significant transformation throughout the story. Think Luke Skywalker, Katniss Everdeen. What motivates them? What are their strengths and weaknesses? The villain, the antagonist, the obstacle the hero must overcome. A good villain isn't just evil for the sake of it. They have a motivation, a reason for their actions. Understanding their perspective can make them more compelling. Think Darth Vader, Hannibal Lecter. What are they trying to achieve? What are their fears? The mentor, the guide, the wise figure who provides guidance and support to the hero. They often have special knowledge or skills that the hero needs. Think Obi-Wan Kenobi, Gandalf. What wisdom do they impart? What sacrifices do they make? The ally, the loyal companion, the one who stands by the hero through thick and thin. They provide emotional support and practical assistance. Think Ron Weasley, Samwise Gamgee. What makes them loyal? Were their own struggles. The trickster, the mischievous figure, the one who challenges the status quo and disrupts the established order. They can be both helpful and harmful. Think Loki, Bugs Bunny. What are their motivations? What chaos do they create? The shapeshifter, the unreliable figure, the one whose loyalties are unclear. They can be friend or foe, depending on the circumstances. Think Littlefinger, Severus Snape. What are they hiding? What are their true intentions? Understanding these archetypes is essential for creating compelling characters. But don't just stick to the stereotypes. Use these archetypes as a starting point, and then add your own unique twists and details to create characters that are truly memorable. Subverting and reinventing archetypes. Here's where the real magic happens. Start by understanding the expectations associated with each archetype. What does the audience expect a hero to be like? A villain? A mentor? Once you know the expectations, you can start to subvert them. Consider giving your hero a major flaw. A hero who is too perfect can be boring. Give them a weakness, a fear, or a past trauma that they must overcome. This will make them more relatable and sympathetic. A villain with a sympathetic motivation can be far more compelling than a purely evil villain. Explore their backstory and show the events that led them to become the person they are today. This will add depth and complexity to their character. The mentor doesn't always have to be wise and benevolent. What if they're flawed, cynical, or even slightly corrupt? This can create interesting conflicts and challenges for the hero. The trickster can be more than just a source of comic relief. They can also be a catalyst for change, challenging the hero's beliefs and forcing them to see the world in a new way. Consider flipping the gender or race of a traditional archetype. This can be a simple but effective way to subvert expectations and challenge stereotypes. The key is to do it thoughtfully and not just for the sake of being different. Think about how your subversions affect the story and the characters. Do they add depth, complexity, and meaning? Or do they just feel arbitrary and forced? A well-executed subversion can be a powerful tool, but a poorly executed one can backfire. By subverting and reinventing archetypes, you can create characters that are both familiar and surprising, characters that will resonate with readers long after they finish the book. Using archetypes as a starting point for unique characters. Archetypes are just the framework, the bare bones. You got to flesh them out with details, quirks, and contradictions to make them breathe. Think of an archetype as a template. It provides a basic outline for your character, but it's up to you to fill in the details. Don't just copy and paste a pre-existing character. Use the archetype as a springboard for your own creativity. Give your characters unique backgrounds, personalities, and motivations. What are their hopes, fears, and dreams? What are their strengths and weaknesses? The more specific and detailed you make your characters, the more believable they will be. Give your characters quirks and habits. These little details can make a big difference in how readers perceive your characters. Do they have a nervous tic? A favorite saying? A peculiar way of dressing? Small details can make them come alive on the page. Your characters' relationships with other characters are also important. How do they interact with their friends, family, and enemies? Do they have any unresolved conflicts? These relationships can reveal a lot about your character's personality and motivations. Explore your character's inner life. What are they thinking and feeling? What are their secrets? The more you know about your character's inner life, the better equipped you will be to write them convincingly. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try different things and see what works. The most important thing is to have fun and let your creativity flow. Remember, archetypes are just a tool. They're a way to get started, but they're not the destination. Use them wisely, and you'll be well on your way to creating characters that are both memorable and unique. Developing believable backstories and motivations. The importance of backstory. Why bother with backstory? Because characters don't spring fully formed from the ether. They're products of their experiences, their triumphs, and their traumas. A well-developed backstory can explain your character's personality, motivations, and relationships. Why are they the way they are? What events have shaped them into the person they are today? The backstory provides the answers. It can create empathy for your characters. Even if your character is flawed or unlikable, a compelling backstory can help readers understand their actions and motivations. This can make them more sympathetic, even if they don't agree with their choices. It can also add depth and complexity to your plot. A well-placed flashback or revelation can add a new dimension to your story and create unexpected twists and turns. Backstory can also create suspense. What secrets are your characters hiding? What event from their past are they trying to escape? The mystery surrounding their backstory can keep readers engaged and invested in the story. But beware the info dump. Weave the backstory into the narrative organically through dialogue, action, and flashbacks. Avoid long, boring explanations that will bore your readers. Don't just make up random events. Think about how the events of the past have shaped your character's present. What lessons have they learned? What scars have they acquired? Not every detail of your character's backstory needs to be revealed. Some things are best left unsaid, but it's important to know the details yourself, so you can write your characters with confidence and authority. Creating realistic motivations for actions. Characters don't do things for no reason. Even seemingly random acts have a cause, a spark that ignites the action. Here's how to make those sparks believable. Needs versus wants. What does your character need to survive, to feel safe, to belong? What do they want? Recognition, love, power. The conflict between these needs and wants is a fertile ground for motivation. Fear factor. Fear is a powerful motivator. Were your characters afraid of losing? What are they trying to avoid? Fear can drive them to make desperate choices, even if those choices are morally questionable. The core wound. What is the defining trauma in your character's past? What is the wound that they're constantly trying to heal? This wound could drive their actions in subtle and not so subtle ways. Belief systems. What does your character believe is right and wrong? What are their values? Their actions should be consistent with their belief system, even if that belief system is flawed or misguided. Consequences matter. What are the potential consequences of your character's actions? Are they aware of those consequences? Do they care? The consequences can either reinforce or undermine their motivations. Subconscious drivers. Sometimes, characters are driven by forces they don't even understand. Explore their subconscious desires, their hidden fears, and their repressed emotions. This can add depth and complexity to their motivations. Motivation evolution. A character's motivations can change over time. As they experience new events and face new challenges, their priorities may shift. Be prepared to adjust your character's motivations as the story progresses. Don't just tell us what motivates your characters. Show us through their actions, their dialogue, and their inner thoughts. The more believable your character's motivations, the more invested your readers will be in their journey. Using backstory to drive character development. Backstory isn't just a data dump. It's a lever you can use to control how your characters grow, change, and face the challenges of your story. Mirror moments. Connect past events to present-day decisions. Is your character repeating a past mistake? Are they trying to avoid a past failure? These mirror moments highlight how their backstory is still influencing their actions. Trigger events. Use elements of the past to trigger emotional responses in the present. A specific scent, a certain song, a familiar place. These can all trigger memories and emotions that drive your character's behavior. Challenging beliefs. Use events in the present to challenge your character's core beliefs, which were often formed in the past. This can force them to confront their past traumas and change their perspectives. Unresolved conflicts. Introduce characters from your character's past who resurface in the present. These unresolved conflicts can force your character to deal with unfinished business and make difficult choices. Growth opportunities. Use challenges in the present as opportunities for your character to overcome their past traumas. Can they learn from their mistakes and become a better person? Flashing back with purpose. Use flashbacks sparingly and with purpose. Don't just use them to provide exposition. Use them to reveal something new about your character's past that is relevant to the present-day plot. Subtext is your friend. Don't spell everything out for the reader. Use subtext to hint at your character's past and let the reader fill in the gaps. This can create a sense of mystery and intrigue. Backstory should be more than just a collection of events. It should be a powerful tool for driving character development and creating a more meaningful and engaging story. Character arcs and growth. Understanding character arcs, positive, negative, flat. Characters gotta go somewhere, even if that somewhere is downhill. Here's the 3 basic paths. Positive change arc. The character starts out with a flaw or a false belief, and through the course of the story, they learn and grow, ultimately becoming a better version of themselves. They overcome their weaknesses, embrace the truth, and achieve their goals. This is a classic arc, but it can be done in a variety of ways. Think of it as good becoming better. Negative change arc. The character starts out with positive qualities, but through the course of the story, they are corrupted or broken, ultimately becoming a worse version of themselves. They succumb to their weaknesses, embrace a false belief, and fail to achieve their goals. This arc can be tragic, but it can also be powerful. Good turns bad. Flat arc. The character doesn't change significantly throughout the story. They remain true to their values and beliefs, even in the face of adversity. This doesn't mean they're static. They can still have an impact on the world around them and influence other characters. The best example is to think of a rock, solid, unchanging, and unshakable. Consider all factors before deciding. You need to decide which characters are going to have which arc before writing. This makes sure that you write the characters properly throughout the book. Planning the arc of your main characters. You can't just wing it and hope your characters end up in the right place. You need a plan, a roadmap for their transformation. First, you need to identify your character's starting point. What are their strengths, weaknesses, values, and beliefs at the beginning of the story? What are their goals and motivations? Where are they lacking? Establish a clear understanding of who they are at the outset. Then you need to determine their ending point. What will they be like at the end of the story? How will they have changed? What will they have learned? What will they have achieved? What kind of arc are they following? Map out the key events that will drive the character's transformation. These could be challenges, conflicts, revelations, or relationships. How will these events impact their beliefs, values, and motivations? What choices will they make? These key events should be spaced throughout the story to create a sense of momentum and progress. Identify the turning points where your character makes a significant decision that changes the course of their arc. These turning points should be dramatic and impactful, with high stakes and clear consequences. Consider how those events will impact the characters. What are the key moments where they reflect on their experiences and make a conscious effort to change? What are the moments where they resist change and cling to their old ways? The more thoughtful and deliberate the process is, the better your character will become, creating meaningful character transformation. A superficial change is worse than no change at all. Let's make sure those arcs hit home. Show, don't tell the change. Don't just tell the reader that your character has changed. Show them through their actions, dialogue, and inner thoughts. Make the change believable. The transformation should be consistent with the character's personality and backstory. It shouldn't feel arbitrary or forced. The character should struggle. Change is rarely easy. Your character should face challenges and setbacks along the way. This will make their transformation feel more earned and realistic. The transformation should have consequences. How does the character's change affect their relationships, their goals, and their world? The consequences should be both positive and negative. You need to give them time to grow. Don't rush the transformation. Allow your character time to process their experiences and integrate their new insights. The transformation should be impactful. How has the character's change made them a better person? How has it made their world a better place? Make sure the transformation has a lasting impact. Think about having more than one arc. How do those arcs relate to each other? Make sure that you put the same amount of thought into each arc. The best transformation arcs are the ones that stick with the reader long after they finish the book. Create it well and do not half-step. Chapter 4. Outlining your plot. The importance of a novel outline. Why outline? Benefits and drawbacks. You can fly by the seat of your pants, but you might end up crashing and burning. Let's weigh the options. Outlining helps you see the big picture. It allows you to map out the entire story before you start writing, which can help you identify plot holes, pacing issues, and thematic inconsistencies. It saves time in the long run, contrary to what people think. By planning your story in advance, you can avoid getting stuck in dead ends and wasting time on scenes that don't contribute to the overall narrative. Outlining provides structure and direction. It gives you a clear roadmap to follow, which can be especially helpful when you're feeling overwhelmed or lost in the middle of a project. It forces you to think about the key elements of your story and how they fit together. This can lead to a more cohesive and compelling narrative. But the biggest thing about outlining is that it can stifle creativity. Some writers find that outlining too rigidly can limit their ability to explore new ideas and take unexpected turns. Outlining can be time-consuming. Creating a detailed outline can take a significant amount of time, which some writers would rather spend actually writing the story. Outlining can be inflexible. Once you have an outline, it can be difficult to deviate from it, even if you come up with a better idea later on. Some writers find that outlining makes the writing process feel too mechanical and predictable. They prefer to discover the story as they write, allowing it to unfold organically. If you decide to outline, it's important to remain flexible. Be willing to adjust your outline as you write, and don't be afraid to deviate from it if you have a better idea. There are no rules. This is about what works best for you. Different outlining methods, e.g., snowflake method, 3-act structure. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. Experiment and find what clicks. Let's start with the 3-act structure. This is a classic outlining method that divides the story into 3 acts: setup, confrontation, and resolution. Each act has its own specific purpose and set of key events. It's straightforward. For the snowflake method, you begin with a 1-sentence summary of your story and gradually expand it into a more detailed outline. It's great for developing complex plots and characters. Then there's the Dan Harmon story circle. It's borrowed from screenwriting based on Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. It outlines the hero's journey. It's circular. A common outline method is to start with a list of scenes or events that you want to include in your story, and then arrange them in chronological order. Good for visual thinkers. You also have the option to skip the outline. No matter what, the key is to find the outlining method that works best for you and to be willing to adapt it to fit your needs. Don't be afraid to experiment with different methods until you find one that feels comfortable and effective. Also, don't be afraid to skip it. Choosing the right method for your writing style. This ain't about what's popular. It's about what makes your brain happy. You need to consider your personality. Are you a detail-oriented planner or a free-spirited improviser? If you're a planner, you might prefer a more structured outlining method, like the 3-act structure or the snowflake method. If you're an improviser, you might prefer a looser method like the list method or even no outlining at all. Think about how your brain works. Do you think linearly or non-linearly? If you think linearly, you might prefer a method that follows a clear chronological order. If you think non-linearly, you might prefer a method that allows you to jump around and explore different parts of the story. Also, what's the most detailed that you want to be? If you're new to writing, it may be best to start with a very detailed method until you're comfortable writing without one. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try different methods and see what works best for you. You might even find that you prefer to combine different methods or create your own custom method. Start simple, but always remember that you can always adjust the method that you use as you become more comfortable with writing and outlining. Structuring your novel with a 3-act structure. Act 1. Setup and inciting incident. This is where you introduce your world your characters, and the problem that's going to drive the whole damn story. The setup is exactly what it sounds like. Introduce your protagonist, their world, and their ordinary life. This section is all about establishing the status quo. Show the reader what your character's life is like before everything changes. It also helps to give the reader the reasons to support the character. Next, you have to give your readers information. Give the reader the background information they need to understand the story. This can include details about the setting, the characters, and the central conflict. And then you disrupt their life. The inciting incident is the event that disrupts the protagonist's ordinary life and sets them on their journey. This could be a discovery, a challenge, a threat, or anything else that forces them to take action. It gets the ball rolling, but it is important that it is engaging. The act should get the reader emotionally invested in the story. We need to get them to buy into the story. They need to want to see what happens next. Act 2. Rising action and midpoint. This is where your character faces a series of challenges and obstacles that escalate the conflict and raise the stakes. The journey really gets going here. The rising action is that meat of the story. The protagonist actively pursues their goal, but faces obstacles and challenges along the way. These challenges should escalate the conflict and raise the stakes, making it harder and harder for the protagonist to succeed. This helps give the reader the feeling that the character is traveling towards their destination. Add subplots. This is the perfect time to introduce subplots that add depth and complexity to the story. These subplots can explore different aspects of the main conflict or provide opportunities for character development. Think of this as adding flavor to the journey. Finally, you have to raise the tension. You have to keep the reader engaged. This is done by making each challenge more difficult than the last. The characters should grow with each one as well. Right in the middle of everything, you have the midpoint where the story takes a major turn. The protagonist may experience a significant setback or a major revelation that changes the course of their journey. They now get the real view of the world they are traveling towards. Now that they see it, they might even change the destination. But this allows them to make the change. Act 2 is the longest part of the story, so it's important to keep the momentum going and keep the reader engaged. Act 3. Climax and resolution. This is it. The final showdown, the ultimate test, the moment of truth. The climax is the peak of the story, the moment of greatest tension and conflict. The protagonist faces their ultimate challenge and makes a final decision that will determine the outcome of the story. This is the culmination of everything that has come before. High stakes are an important piece of this. Make sure the stakes are as high as possible. The protagonist should have everything to lose, including their life, their loved ones, or their very soul. This will make the climax more exciting and suspenseful. The protagonist must act. The protagonist should be the one driving the action in the climax. They should be making the decisions and taking the risks. And if they were good, they must change. The climax should force the protagonist to change in some way. They may have to confront their fears, overcome their weaknesses, or make a difficult sacrifice. The resolution is the aftermath of the climax, where the loose ends are tied up and the reader gets to see the long-term consequences of the protagonist's actions. This provides closure for the reader and allows them to reflect on the meaning of the story. Make sure there's a wrap-up. Tie up any loose ends and answer any remaining questions. The reader should feel satisfied that the story is complete. This should also be about the new normal. Show the reader what the protagonist's life is like after the climax. How have they changed? What have they learned? What are their new goals? Give your reader the answers here. Make sure you have a good destination in mind for your readers. If it is too loose, then the destination might feel bad, even if it is technically good. Creating a scene-by-scene outline. Breaking down your plot into individual scenes. Think of each scene as a mini-story with its own beginning, middle, and end. String them together, and you've got a novel. First, identify the key events in your plot. What are the major turning points, conflicts, and revelations? These events will form the backbone of your scene-by-scene outline. Then turn those events into scenes. Each event should be explored in its own scene. This will allow you to focus on the specific details of that event and make it more impactful. A scene should have a clear purpose. What do you want to accomplish in this scene? Do you want to advance the plot, reveal information, develop a character, or create tension? The purpose will guide you in writing the scene. Each scene should also have a clear beginning, middle, and end. The beginning should introduce the scene and set the stage. The middle should develop the conflict or explore the theme. The end should resolve the scene and leave the reader wanting more. Keep in mind how each scene builds towards your end destination. This way it all adds up to an amazing story. Remember to have fun. Writing a book should be fun, ensuring each scene serves a purpose. No file, no fluff. Every scene needs to be pulling its weight, contributing to the overall story. Each scene must contribute to the plot. Does it move the story forward in some way? Does it introduce a new conflict, escalate an existing one, or resolve a problem? If a scene doesn't advance the plot, it's probably unnecessary. If it does, you can feel confident it belongs in the story. Also make sure that your scene contributes to the characterization. Does it reveal something new about a character's personality, motivations, or relationships? Does it show them growing or changing in some way? If a scene doesn't develop a character, it may be a missed opportunity. It should contribute to theme. Does it explore a theme or idea that is central to the story? Does it challenge the reader's assumptions or offer a new perspective? If a scene doesn't contribute to the theme, it may be irrelevant. Look at the world building as well. Does it provide information about the setting, the culture, or the history of the world? Does it create a sense of immersion and make the world feel more real? If a scene doesn't contribute to the world building, it may be underdeveloped. Think about how it can be improved to add something to the world that the characters live in. Each scene must accomplish at least one of these tasks. If a scene doesn't serve any of these purposes, it's probably best to cut it. Be ruthless, and when in doubt, ask yourself, what's the point of this scene? If you can't answer that question, then rewrite it until it serves a clear and important purpose. Don't take it easy. This is writing, using scene cards or a spreadsheet to organize your outline. Visualizing the structure of your novel is key. Scene cards and spreadsheets are powerful tools for achieving that clarity. Scene cards help you see the big picture. Write each scene on a separate index card. Include a brief summary of the scene, the characters involved, and the purpose of the scene. Arrange the cards on a bulletin board or a table. This will allow you to see the entire story at a glance and easily rearrange scenes if necessary. Using color coding is important. Use different colors to represent different characters, themes, or plot lines. This will make it easier to track the different elements of your story and ensure that they are balanced. You can visually see and ensure different elements of your characters, subplots, and so on are all getting their turn in the story. A spreadsheet will help you organize scenes and visualize progress. Create a spreadsheet with columns for scene number, title, characters, setting, purpose, and summary. This will allow you to track the details of each scene and easily search for specific information. You can easily see how the scenes work together by putting them into the spreadsheet. This can help you see issues that you may not have seen before. With spreadsheets, you could track progress. Use the spreadsheet to track your progress as you write. Mark scenes as written, revised, or complete. This will help you stay on schedule and motivated. You can give yourself goals for the week or month and visually keep track of them to make sure you are hitting the mark. You can use what works best. If you're a visual person, scene cards may be a better option for you. If you're more analytical, a spreadsheet may be a better fit. The most important thing is to find a system that works for you and that helps you stay organized and focused. Try both and see which one you prefer. Chapter 5. Developing a strong hook. The importance of a captivating opening. Why the first few pages matter. You got one shot, one chance to convince a reader to invest their time and money in your story. Don't screw it up. First impressions matter. The first few pages of your novel are like a first date. If you don't make a good impression, the reader is going to swipe left. So do everything you can to grab their attention. You have to hold their attention as well. Readers are busy and inundated with choices. If you don't hook them quickly, they'll move on to the next book. It's a brutal reality, but it's the truth. You are competing with millions of others and thousands that are being released every day. What you need to do is get them emotionally invested. The first few pages are your opportunity to make an emotional connection with the reader. Introduce compelling characters, establish a strong conflict, and create a sense of mystery or intrigue. You have to get the reader to care about what happens next. Also get the reader hooked on your world. The opening pages are your chance to showcase the unique aspects of your world. Introduce interesting details about the setting, the culture, and the history. Make the reader want to explore your world and learn more about it. If the reader is pulled in by your story, then they will also be pulled in by your world. The opening pages also set expectations for the rest of the book. They establish the tone, the style, and the genre. If you mislead the reader, they're going to be disappointed. Make sure your opening is consistent with the rest of the novel. If you don't nail the opening, it doesn't matter how great the rest of the book is. Your readers have to get to the rest of the book first. Common opening mistakes to avoid. Don't bore them. Don't confuse them. Don't insult them. It's that simple. Here are some specific things to watch out for. Avoid the info dump. Don't start your novel with a long, boring explanation of the history of your world or the backstory of your characters. Weave that information into the story gradually through dialogue, action, and description. No one likes to read a story that is just giving information. Get them hooked, then they will be all for it. Avoid slow start. Don't take too long to get to the point. Readers want to know what the story is about and why they should care. Get to the inciting incident as quickly as possible. Readers want to know if they should be emotionally invested. Make it clear for them that they should. What you should really avoid is the unnecessary detail. Don't bog down your opening with irrelevant details about the setting or the characters. Focus on the details that are essential to the story and leave the rest for later. Make the details about the characters, not about what is around them. You need to avoid the cliches. Don't start your novel with a tired cliché, such as "it was a dark and stormy night" or "she woke up screaming." Find a fresh and original way to begin your story. The reader will appreciate your inventiveness and will be looking for it throughout the story. What's really important is to avoid the head hopping. Stick to one point of view in the opening pages. Don't jump around between different characters' perspectives, as this can confuse the reader. It's important to let the reader settle into the world before you change anything. A great story can get ruined right from the beginning by these, so make sure you don't have them. What makes a good hook? It's not just about grabbing attention. It's about sparking curiosity, creating intrigue, and making the reader need to know what happens next. A good hook should generate curiosity. It raises a question in the reader's mind. Who is this character? What is this world? What's going to happen next? The reader should have all kinds of questions running through their mind. They need to see what is going to happen next. There must be conflict. It introduces a conflict, a challenge, or a problem that the protagonist must face. This creates tension and makes the reader want to see how the conflict will be resolved. A character just living their best life is boring. They need something to challenge them and to make the reader need to know how they overcome it. Create a sense of mystery. It hints at something hidden or unknown. This could be a secret, a conspiracy, or a supernatural phenomenon. The mystery should be intriguing enough to make the reader want to keep reading. Nothing is as good as having the reader theorize what might happen next. Get them thinking and get them invested. Good characters are always important. It introduces a compelling character. The reader should be interested in this character and want to learn more about them. They should care about what happens to them and be invested in their journey. Getting the reader attached is a sure sign of a good hook. A good hook is unique. It stands out from the crowd and offers something fresh and original. It should be different from anything the reader has seen before. This will make your novel more memorable and make the reader more likely to recommend it to others. The best hooks will have a balance of all these elements. They get them invested and wanting to see what comes next. They won't be able to put down your book. Different types of hooks. Action-oriented hooks. Forget the slow burn. Sometimes you need to throw the reader right into the thick of things. Start with a chase. Throw the reader right into the middle of a chase scene. This creates immediate tension and makes the reader want to know who is being chased, why they're being chased, and what is going to happen next. The reader needs to root for someone, and a great way to do that is with an action sequence. Make them root for that someone. Throw in some high stakes as well. Put your character in immediate danger. This could be a physical threat, a life or death situation, or a moral dilemma. The stakes should be clear, and the reader should understand why they are important. Don't just say, "This guy will die." Tell us the impact that person's death would have. Who will they leave behind? What important work will be unfinished? Give them a fight to love or hate. Start with a fight scene. This creates immediate excitement and makes the reader want to know who is fighting, why they are fighting, and who will win. The reader is watching a boxing match with this setup. Introduce to a disaster. Start with a natural disaster, a terrorist attack, or some other catastrophic event. This creates immediate chaos and makes the reader want to know how the characters will survive and what will happen next. Start big, and things will naturally focus in as your story progresses. The end result is amazing, but remember to avoid the random action. The action should be relevant to the plot and the characters. Don't just throw in a fight scene for the sake of it. The action should serve a purpose and contribute to the overall story. You aren't writing a movie, you are writing a book. Action-oriented hooks are a great way to start a novel, but they're not for every story. Make sure the action is appropriate for the genre and the tone of your novel. If it's a slow and methodical drama with a good slice of life, it just won't make sense to start with a bank robbery. Intriguing character introductions. Sometimes it's not about what's happening, but who it's happening to. A compelling character can be a hook all on their own. Start by showing the reader what they do, not what they say. Don't just tell the reader what kind of person your character is. Show them through their actions, their habits, and their interactions with others. It is just good storytelling to show versus tell. Their secrets are worth their weight in gold. Hint at something hidden or mysterious in your character's past. This creates intrigue and makes the reader want to learn more about them. Not only that, they want to understand what they might be hiding. Also hint at the flaws. Give your character a unique quirk, a strange habit, or a hidden flaw. This makes them more human and relatable. It makes the reader want to learn more about what makes them tick. People want to read about characters, not Mary Sue's. You could also make them go against the reader's expectations. Subvert the reader's expectations by introducing a character who is not what they seem. This can create surprise and intrigue and make the reader want to learn more about their true nature. Make the reader question if they have accurately judged the character. Don't just introduce an archetype. It's important to not just throw a cookie-cutter character on the page. Make sure they have their own spin on it. Even the worst people have goals and motivations. Intriguing character introductions are a great way to start a novel, especially if your story is character-driven. If you can make the reader care about your character, they'll be hooked from page one. Mysterious or unusual situations. Sometimes, the best way to grab a reader is to drop them into a situation they can't quite understand and make them want answers. Present an unsolved mystery. This gives your reader a purpose. This could be a murder, a disappearance, or some other unexplained event. The mystery should be intriguing enough to make the reader want to keep reading to find out what happened. The reader is now a detective as well. Don't just throw in the mundane. Introduce a strange or unusual element into an otherwise normal setting. This creates a sense of unease and makes the reader want to know what is going on. It will also cause the reader to really look at the details. What has changed and what might it mean? Introduce your character to a secret. Start with a character discovering a secret that could change everything. This creates immediate tension and makes the reader want to know what the secret is and what the character will do with it. Play with unusual rules. Introduce a world with strange or unusual rules. This creates a sense of wonder and makes the reader want to learn more about how this world works. Be sure that the unusual rules also make sense. There are so many types of situations for characters. Whatever it is, mysterious or unusual situations are a great way to start a novel, especially if your story is plot-driven or has a strong element of mystery. Make the reader want to solve the puzzle. Polishing your hook for maximum impact. Getting feedback on your opening. You're too close to it to be objective. Fresh eyes are essential for spotting what works and what doesn't. Find beta readers and other writers. Share your opening pages with beta readers or other writers whose opinions you trust. Ask them to be honest and provide specific feedback. There's only so much that you can do without help. Don't be afraid to ask. Ask specific questions. Don't just ask, "What do you think?" Ask specific questions, such as, did the opening grab your attention? Did you care about the characters? Did you want to keep reading? This will help you get more useful feedback. Pay attention to patterns. If multiple readers have the same criticism, it's probably something you need to address. If only one reader has a problem with something, it may just be a matter of personal taste. You can find amazing help and advice in patterns. Take advantage of that. Be open to criticism. Don't get defensive when you receive criticism. Remember, the goal is to improve your writing. Listen to what your readers have to say and consider their suggestions. Consider the source, and only ask those that are in your target audience. Take the criticism and change what you can. Revising for clarity and intrigue. This is where you take your opening from good to great. Cut the fat. Eliminate any unnecessary words, phrases, or sentences. The opening should be concise and to the point. Every word should be working to grab the reader's attention. Do you need a word, or will it hurt the hook? If it hurts it, cut it. Sharpen the conflict. Make the central conflict of the story as clear and compelling as possible. The reader should understand what is at stake and why they should care. The higher the stakes, the better. Intensify the mystery. Add more hints of mystery or intrigue. Tease the reader with unanswered questions and make them want to learn more. The more the reader is theorizing, the better. Show, don't tell. Replace any telling with showing. Use vivid language and sensory details to bring the story to life. This will make the opening more immersive and engaging. Instead of saying someone is evil, show their actions that make them evil. Check for consistency. Make sure the opening is consistent with the tone, style, and genre of the rest of the novel. The opening should accurately reflect what the reader can expect from the rest of the story. You don't want to mislead the reader in any way. Remember to have fun while revising. Is all worth it in the end? The importance of voice in your hook. Your voice is your fingerprint, the thing that makes your writing instantly recognizable. It's especially crucial in the opening pages. Voice creates connection. It connects with the reader and makes them feel like they're listening to a real person. It creates a sense of intimacy and trust. You need to be authentic, or the reader will feel as though you're being fake. Voice adds personality. Voice adds personality and flair to your writing. It makes the story more engaging and memorable. It also makes your story stand out from all the others in the genre. Voice sets the tone. It sets the tone for the entire novel. It tells the reader what kind of story they are about to read and what kind of experience they can expect. It is important to remember this so that you can write appropriately. Voice helps showcase characters. Voice can also showcase your protagonist's personality from the very first page. This is a great way to establish what your protagonist is all about from the get-go. Voice helps stand out from the crowd. It makes your novel unique and helps it stand out from the crowd. In a sea of similar stories, a strong and distinctive voice can be the difference between success and failure. If they choose you over all the others, you have accomplished something amazing. To find your voice, experiment. The voice must be natural. Just be yourself, and that will be enough. Chapter 6. Mastering Point of View. Understanding different points of view. First-person perspective. I did this. I felt that it's intimate, it's immediate, but it's also got limitations. Pros. Intimacy and immersion. The reader experiences the story directly through the eyes of the narrator. This can create a strong sense of empathy and make the story more emotionally engaging. Cons. Limited knowledge. The reader only knows what the narrator knows. This can create suspense and mystery, but it can also limit the scope of the story. It can be hard to tell your audience other things that are important. Voice is key. The narrator's voice is crucial in first person. It needs to be consistent, compelling, and authentic. The reader should feel like they're listening to a real person. Reliability concerns. The narrator may be unreliable, either intentionally or unintentionally. This can add complexity to the story, but it can also confuse the reader. The reader might not know who to trust. Best for character-driven stories. First person is best suited for stories that focus on the inner thoughts and feelings of a single character. This also gives the writer a chance to really show off what they know about their character. Common pitfalls include echo chamber. It can be tempting to make the narrator too perfect or too sympathetic. Remember, even first-person narrators can be flawed. Too much of one voice can be annoying. To make sure it works well, the reader must know what the protagonist is going to get. What type of outcome should they expect at the end? The reader must root for and support the character in a big way. Third-person limited perspective. He did this. She felt that you're outside the character's head, but not too far outside. Greater flexibility is a big strength. It allows you to tell the story from the perspective of a single character, but without being confined to their voice or their knowledge. You can describe their thoughts and feelings, but you can also describe their actions and the world around them from a more objective viewpoint. Limited knowledge is also a strength. The reader only knows what the character knows, which can create suspense and mystery. This also forces the reader to identify with the character and experience the story through their eyes. You need to be aware of what your character will be able to see. Character focus is key. Third-person limited is best suited for stories that are character-driven, but also require a broader perspective than first-person. This allows you to explore the inner thoughts and feelings of the character while also providing context and background information. Watch out for head hopping. It's important to stick to one character's perspective within each scene. Jumping around between different characters' perspectives can confuse the reader and weaken the emotional impact. You don't want people reading one thing at the start of the paragraph and then reading a completely different thing at the end. Another common pitfall is not having enough distance. It can be tempting to write in a style that is too similar to first person. Remember, you're not inside the character's head. You're observing them from a close but objective perspective. The reader must be able to trust you as a narrator, even if they can't trust the main character. Always make sure that if the character is good or bad, that you support them as the writer. Show that no matter their decision, you will be there for them. Third-person omniscient perspective. They did this, but little did they know. You're the all-knowing narrator, but with great power comes great responsibility. The freedom is incredible. This perspective gives you the most freedom and flexibility. You can jump between different characters' perspectives, reveal information that no one character knows, and comment on the story from a detached and objective viewpoint. You can tell the reader anything. If something is necessary for the plot, just let the reader know. But with more freedom comes more complexity. Third-person omniscient can be difficult to master. It requires a careful balancing act between providing information and maintaining suspense. You don't want to reveal too much too soon, but you also don't want to leave the reader confused. It requires distance if you want to get it right. It can be difficult to create a strong emotional connection with the characters. You're observing from a distance, which can make it harder for the reader to identify with the characters. You aren't on a ride with the character, you are the guy commenting about what is happening on the ride. This type of storytelling can be subjective. While you have knowledge, it is still important to be subjective. You can show the reader what is happening, but you should also show what you feel about it. That creates an engaging connection that works on an emotional level as well. This POV is best when used to tell complex stories with multiple characters and interwoven plot lines. It's also well suited for stories that explore broad themes and ideas. You also have to commit to all of the characters. Show them all respect and give them all the space to grow and learn. You can't focus on some over others. If all that sounds amazing, remember to watch out for head hopping. Just because you can jump between different characters' perspectives doesn't mean you should do it constantly. Use this power to make the plot amazing. Don't make it work against you. Do everything you can to make it work for you and the reader. Choosing the right point of view for your story. Matching POV to your story's needs. This ain't about preference. It's about what's going to deliver the most impact. What is the focus of your story? If your story is primarily about a single character's inner thoughts and feelings, first-person or third-person limited may be the best choice. If your story is more about the events and the world around the characters, third-person omniscient may be a better fit. Think about the scope. Does your story focus on a small group of characters, or does it involve a large cast and multiple plot lines? If it's the former, first-person or third-person limited may be the best choice. If it's the latter, third-person omniscient may be necessary to keep track of everything. What kind of tone do you want? If you want a close, intimate tone, first-person or third-person limited may be the best choice. If you want a more detached, objective tone, third-person omniscient may be more appropriate. You have to know if you're going to root for them or not. Consider the reliability. Do you want the reader to trust the narrator? Or do you want to create a sense of unease and uncertainty? First person can be a great choice for unreliable narrators, while third-person omniscient typically implies a more trustworthy narrator. Are you going to show your readers what really happens, or are you only going to show them what your character thinks is happening? This can make a big impact. Try it out for yourself, and be sure to have some fun. This helps provide a great story for the readers, which is your goal. Considering the reader's experience. Ultimately, you're writing for an audience. Their understanding and enjoyment should be a primary factor in your POV decision. What is the goal? You must determine what you are trying to accomplish by the end of your story. This is the most important question. Then you must think about the perspective of the reader. Put yourself in the reader's shoes. What would be the most engaging and satisfying way to experience this story? Would they prefer to be inside the head of a single character, or would they prefer to have a broader view of the events? Always think about the expectations of the genre. Different genres have different conventions when it comes to point of view. For example, thrillers often use first-person or third-person limited to create suspense, while epic fantasies often use third-person omniscient to manage a large cast of characters. Always think about reader preferences as well. Some readers prefer certain points of view over others. For example, some readers love the intimacy of first person, while others find it too limiting. This will all make sure that your vision of the world gets to the people you want to read it. Lastly, remember, if it is great for you, it must be great for the reader. Make your stories and world with passion. The reader will know this as well. Experimenting with different POV options. Don't just assume you know best. Write sample scenes in different POVs to see what feels right. Here are some important steps to take. Write the same scene in first person, third person limited, and third person omniscient. This will allow you to see how each POV affects the tone, the pacing, and the character development. Be sure to think about having the characters be good, bad, or even just have elements of both. This can affect your character quite a bit. Ask others for feedback. Share your sample scenes with beta readers or other writers and ask for their opinions. Which POV did they find the most engaging? Which POV made them care the most about the characters? Be sure to listen to and consider everything. There are some good questions you can consider asking. You can see how well a point of view will work by asking questions like, which best conveys the story's themes? Which allows the reader to feel the most empathy for the characters? What are the characters even like? You must also be prepared to revise. If you're not happy with the POV you've chosen, don't be afraid to switch. It's better to make a change early on than to stick with a POV that isn't working. Also be open to revising your characters to make sure that it is working as well. Point of view is a critical choice that can have a huge impact on your story. Take the time to experiment and find the POV that best serves your vision. Maintaining consistency in point of view. Avoiding head hopping. Jumping from one character's thoughts to another within the same scene. That's head hopping. Choose the POV for the scene and stick with it. Before you start writing a scene, decide whose perspective you're going to tell it from. Then, stick to that perspective throughout the entire scene. It doesn't have to be the same perspective for the entire book, but it should definitely be for each scene. It's important to be aware of your pronouns. Be careful about using pronouns like he, she, and they without making it clear who you're referring to. This can be especially confusing in scenes with multiple characters. In each scene, make the character that you're trying to point to very clear. You also have to be aware of what is seen versus what is heard. Only include thoughts, feelings, and observations that would be accessible to the character whose perspective you're telling the story from. Don't include information that they wouldn't know or couldn't reasonably infer. Be clear about how your characters interact with each other and the world. It is completely appropriate to show, don't tell, when you feel like you're going to head hop. Instead of jumping into another character's head, describe their actions, their expressions, and their tone of voice. Let the reader infer what they're thinking and feeling. If you feel like you have to show another perspective, use scene breaks and transition smoothly to another character's perspective by starting a new scene. This will give the reader a clear signal that the POV has shifted. This can be a great way to give a little bit of extra story, but it should still be carefully considered. Head hopping can confuse the reader, weaken the emotional impact, and make your writing seem amateurish. Avoid at all costs. Pick your character and stick with them. Using POV to build tension. POV isn't just about who's telling the story. It's about how you make the reader feel while they're hearing it. Limited information helps. With a limited POV, first person or third person limited, you can create tension by withholding information from the reader. Only reveal what the character knows and let the reader experience their uncertainty and anxiety. Be sure to not give too little information, though. Use the setting to your advantage. Describing the setting in detail can create a sense of unease or foreboding. Use sensory details to evoke a mood and hint at danger. Even the best days can have some very scary elements if they are described right. The character is going to be key here. Slow down the pacing and focus on the character's thoughts and feelings. This can create a sense of suspense and anticipation, especially if the character is in danger or facing a difficult decision. It is so very important to show versus tell in these circumstances. Consider the expectations of the reader. Use red herrings and false leads to mislead the reader. This can create suspense and make the reader question what they think they know. Be careful not to do this too much, or you'll frustrate the reader. Don't betray their trust. If you need to, use contrast to make the scene be more clear. Juxtapose moments of calm with moments of chaos or violence. This can create a sense of unease and make the reader wonder when the next shoe is going to drop. By carefully controlling the flow of information and manipulating the reader's emotions, you can use POV to build tension and create a more thrilling reading experience. Just don't overdo it, and remember to have fun. Using POV to reveal character. POV isn't just about telling the story. It's about showing the reader who your characters are, what they value, and what they're capable of. If you have a first-person narrative, you can use the character's voice as a great way to do this. The way your character speaks, thinks, and observes the world can reveal a lot about their personality, their background, and their values. This is a great way to hook the reader into who your character is and how they behave. It can also show their internal monologue. What are your characters thinking and feeling? What are their hopes, fears, and dreams? Revealing their inner thoughts can give the reader a deeper understanding of their motivations and their actions. This will also let the reader know what kind of story they can expect. You need to show them as much as you tell them. Make sure to describe their observations with the 5 senses that are important. What do your characters notice about the world around them? What do they pay attention to? What do they ignore? Their observations can reveal a lot about their priorities and their biases. You can always hint at things that the character doesn't realize. What are your characters blind to? What are they in denial about? What are they projecting onto others? Revealing these blind spots can create dramatic irony and make the reader feel more invested in their journey. Give them breadcrumbs. No matter which character you choose, let that character have a meaningful transformation. It isn't good to show the story and not impact the character in a big way. People want to connect with change. By carefully choosing what to reveal and what to withhold, you can use POV to create complex and compelling characters that will stay with the reader long after they finish the book. Chapter 7. Writing compelling dialogue. The purpose of dialogue. Moving the plot forward. Dialogue shouldn't just fill space. It should drive the story forward, revealing information, creating conflict, and setting the stage for future events. Dialogue can and should be used to reveal important information. Use dialogue to reveal key plot points, character backstories, and world-building details. But do it subtly. Don't just dump information on the reader. No one is going to want to read an encyclopedia of a character. It is very important to escalate the conflict using dialogue. Use dialogue to create conflict between characters. Arguments, disagreements, and misunderstandings can all add tension and make the story more engaging. If the conflict is high enough, then the reader will want to know how it is dealt with. Set up future events by using dialogue. Use dialogue to foreshadow future events. Hint at what's to come and create a sense of anticipation. This will keep the reader guessing and make them want to turn the page. Don't forget to change the scene using dialogue as well. Use dialogue to transition from one scene to the next. A character can mention a new location, a new task, or a new goal, setting the stage for the next scene. It will almost be like breadcrumbs for the reader to follow. You want the reader to feel rewarded by your use of dialogue. Each piece of dialogue should matter and have a reason to be there. Revealing character. Dialogue isn't just about conveying information. It's about revealing personality, motivations, and relationships. Their word choice is important. The words a character uses can reveal a lot about their education, their background, and their personality. Do they use slang, jargon, or formal language? Do they swear a lot, or are they more circumspect? What do they choose to call people? The way that they speak is very, very important. The way a character speaks can reveal a lot about their confidence, their emotions, and their intentions. Do they speak quickly or slowly? Do they stutter or stammer? Do they use a lot of filler words like and Remember to add the subtext. What is the character really saying? What are they trying to hide? What are they afraid to admit? Subtext can add layers of complexity to your dialogue and make your characters more intriguing. If a character is angry, why are they angry? Have them show their reactions. How do other characters react to what a character says? Do they agree, disagree, or remain silent? Their reactions can reveal a lot about their relationship with the character and their own values. Do they interrupt others? Does your character dominate conversations, or do they listen more than they speak? Do they interrupt others, or do they wait their turn? Their conversational style can reveal a lot about their personality and their relationships. Do they act as though they are more important than anyone else? Effective dialogue will show the reader who your characters are as well. All that there should come through. Adding realism. Dialogue shouldn't sound like a speech or a lecture. It should sound like two or more people having conversation. Let there be some imperfection. Real people don't speak in perfect sentences. They use slang, filler words, and grammatical errors. Don't be afraid to let your characters sound a little messy. Think about what is left unsaid. Real people don't always say what they mean. They often hint at things, beat around the bush, or use sarcasm to convey their true feelings. Make sure not to do this for everything, where the reader will be just as lost as the person the character is speaking to. The topics that are important must be unique to the world. Real people talk about the things that matter to them. Make sure your characters are talking about things that are relevant to their lives and their circumstances. If the characters are involved in saving the world, that should come through. If they are more concerned with what is for dinner, that should also come through. Real people often interrupt each other, talk over each other, and misunderstand each other. Don't be afraid to let your characters do the same. People often talk to solve problems or to let others solve problems. Your book should have that same feeling. Let your characters struggle to communicate. Real dialogue will hook your reader in. Dialogue that hooks will get your book done. Make the reader care about what your characters have to say. This is always worth it. Technique fort réalistique dialogue. Listening to real-life conversations. It's not about eavesdropping. It's about becoming a student of human interaction. Here are some great steps to take. Listen to their cadence. Pay attention to the rhythm and flow of conversations. How do people pause, interrupt, and change their tone of voice? How do they use filler words and slang? You can pick some pretty interesting things to listen to at a restaurant. Consider all walks of life. Listen to different kinds of people in different situations. How do friends talk to each other? How do strangers talk to each other? How do people talk to their bosses or their employees? The wider the range of conversations you listen to, the better equipped you'll be to write realistic dialogue. Listen for the unique speech patterns. Pay attention to the unique speech patterns of different people. Does your friend use big words? How do they construct their sentences? Do they have any favorite phrases or sayings? The more you listen to the unique ways people talk, the better you'll be able to capture their voices in your writing. Everyone has a unique stamp on their speech. Really focus on the body language. People can say some amazing things with their bodies. You can use this as a great way to expand their words. Even show what they are not saying with their words. Giving each character a unique voice. It's not just about what they say, but how they say it. Here's some simple steps to take. Decide their vocabulary. Think about each character's background, education, and personality. What kind of words would they use? What kind of slang would they avoid? Make sure their rhythm is important. Pay attention to each character's rhythm and cadence. Do they speak quickly or slowly? Do they use short, Choppy sentences or long, flowing sentences? Do they have any verbal tics or mannerisms? This adds a lot of flavor. Does each character have any particular speech habits? Does your character have a favorite word or phrase that they use all the time? Do they have a habit of interrupting others or talking over them? These little quirks can make a big difference in how they sound. Each character should show their point of view. What do your characters care about? What are their values and beliefs? How do they see the world? Their dialogue should reflect their unique perspective. You need to find a way to showcase that for each of them. It's important to be consistent with your writing. Once you've established a character's voice, be consistent with it. Don't suddenly have them start talking in a way that's out of character. The more consistent you are, the more believable they will be. If you think that it is important, take notes to help you keep all of this straight. Each of your characters deserves to be unique. This is what will make your story really shine. Using subtext and body language. Real communication is about more than just the words we speak. Subtext is what the characters mean. What are your characters really trying to say? What are they afraid to admit? What are they hinting at? Use subtext to add layers of meaning to your dialogue and make your characters more complex. What are their reactions? What does their body language say about how they're feeling? Are they fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, or crossing their arms? Use body language to show the reader what the character is really thinking and feeling, even if they're not saying it out loud. Is there anything missing? What are your characters not saying? What are they avoiding talking about? What are they trying to hide? Use omissions and silences to create tension and mystery. Why are they quiet? What is the tone saying? How are your characters saying what they're saying? Are they being sarcastic, ironic, or condescending? Use tone to convey emotions and attitudes that the characters might not be expressing directly. Also, what are they trying to convey? The answers to these questions are key. What are the unspoken agreements? What are the unspoken rules and expectations that govern the conversation? Are there any power dynamics at play? Are there any hidden agendas? Use unspoken dynamics to add depth and complexity to your dialogue and create a sense of realism. The power is who speaks, who interrupts, and so on. You could do so much with what the characters are not saying, as much as with what they are saying. It is important that you do both, so make sure that you're using both in your writing. Avoiding common dialogue mistakes. Exposition dump. Nobody wants to sit through a lecture disguised as a conversation. What are you trying to show with dialogue? Exposition dumps are long stretches of dialogue where characters explain the backstory, the world building, or the plot to each other, and, more importantly, to the reader. This can be boring, unnatural, and condescending. Is it something that the characters need to share, or is it just there to inform the reader? Keep it to the necessary parts. Instead of having characters explain everything in detail, reveal information gradually and organically throughout the story. Weave it into the plot, the action, and the characters' interactions. Instead of them explaining things, how can you have your protagonist and other characters experience it? If you can show it. Instead of having characters talk about the past, show the reader flashbacks or scenes from the past. This can be a more engaging and effective way to convey information. You need to find a way to convey information without having them talk to each other for too long. Also, what should be, there is conflict and subtext. Instead of having characters simply state facts, create conflict or tension in the dialogue. Make the reader work for the information and make them invested in the character's journey. It is so important to make the dialogue be realistic. Make sure your characters are talking in a way that is natural and believable. Real people don't sit around explaining things to each other that they already know. Exposition is necessary in any story. Without it, the reader won't be able to get the whole picture. It must be used correctly, or you might as well just post the world's history instead of a great story. On-the-nose dialogue. Real people rarely say exactly what they're thinking. Your characters shouldn't either. Consider these points. Always show, don't tell. Instead of having characters state their emotions or intentions, show them through their actions, their body language, and their tone of voice. Let the reader infer what they're thinking and feeling. The more they have to think, the more they get invested. Subtext will help the most. What are your characters really trying to say? What are they afraid to admit? What are they hinting at? Use subtext to add layers of meaning to your dialogue and make your characters more complex. This is what is really going on with what the characters are saying. Use nuance whenever you can. Avoid having characters simply state the obvious. Instead, use nuance, ambiguity, and implication to create a more realistic and engaging conversation. It's what real people do. Make sure they are being indirect. Real people often beat around the bush, use sarcasm, or change the subject to avoid talking about difficult or uncomfortable topics. Let your characters do the same. The more vague something is, the more the mind will try to fill in the details. It is better to let the reader infer. Trust your readers to pick up on the subtext and the nuances of your dialogue. Don't feel the need to spell everything out for them. You don't want to insult their intelligence. Use what you can to show what is not there. Make what is there stand out by giving it a unique tone. The more obvious things stand out, the more the less obvious things stand out. Unnatural sounding conversations. If it sounds like a robot wrote it, you've got a problem. How should the characters speak? Unnatural sounding conversations often result from a lack of attention to character voice. Make sure each character has a unique way of speaking, reflecting their background, personality, and emotional state. Even people with the same upbringing can act differently. You have to make them come to life. Remember, you have to let the characters interrupt. Real people often interrupt each other, talk over each other, and change the subject abruptly. Don't be afraid to let your characters do the same. People are messy, and their interactions should have that quality about them as well. The best thing you can do is to read it aloud. The best way to check for unnatural sounding dialogue is to read it aloud. Does it flow smoothly? Does it sound like something real people would say? If not, revise it until it does. Give it some imperfection to make it really work. Real people don't speak in perfect sentences. They use slang, filler words, and grammatical errors. Don't be afraid to let your characters sound a little messy. You don't want to make them sound like some AI wrote the conversation. Lastly, remember to listen to real conversations as well. If you're struggling to write realistic dialogue, go out and listen to real people talking. Pay attention to their vocabulary, their rhythm, and their body language. Even if it is on television, you can learn how to create characters. Chapter 8. Setting and pacing your story. Using setting to enhance your story. Creating atmosphere and mood. A well-crafted setting can evoke a powerful emotional response in the reader. Use all 5 senses. Don't just describe what the setting looks like. Use all 5 senses to bring it to life. What does it sound like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? Describe with vivid imagery. Use vivid language and sensory details to create a clear picture in the reader's mind. Don't just say the room was dark. Describe the shadows, the flickering candlelight, and the feeling of unease. Make sure that you can use descriptions to set a feeling of what is going on in the story. Use symbolism and metaphor. What does the setting symbolize? What does it represent? Use symbolism and metaphor to add layers of meaning to your descriptions. Give the reader some Easter eggs to look for. This really engages them. Change the pace. The length of your descriptions can affect the pacing of the story. Use short, choppy sentences to create a sense of urgency or excitement. Use long, flowing sentences to create a sense of peace or tranquility. If the scene is one way, then the characters must fit this mode as well. For a party, the setting would be happy and inviting. The people there must be shown as also enjoying those same things. Effective use of setting will get your readers to have all of the same feelings as you do. This makes it an important tool to master. Using setting as a character. The setting can be more than just where the story takes place. It can be a character in its own right, influencing the plot and the character's actions. It can drive the plot. The setting can create conflict, present challenges, and force the characters to make difficult decisions. A remote island, a dangerous city, or a post-apocalyptic wasteland can all drive the plot forward in unique ways. The reader wants to go to new places and discover new things. It can also act as a mirror. The setting can reflect the character's inner states. A character who is feeling lost and alone might find themselves in a desolate, empty landscape. A character who is feeling hopeful and optimistic might find themselves in a vibrant, bustling city. It can set the stage for simbolism as well. What does the setting symbolize? What does it represent? Use the setting to reinforce the themes of your story and add layers of meaning. How does the location show what is going on? What kind of stories does that place have? It can become a source of hope or despair. Is it a place of beauty and abundance, or a place of ugliness and scarcity? Does it offer the characters opportunities for growth and happiness, or does it trap them in a cycle of poverty and despair? The setting can also create opportunities for growth. What can they learn? What can they become? A character who is forced to survive in a harsh environment might develop new skills and resilience. A character who is surrounded by beauty and art might develop a greater appreciation for life. It is important to remember that the setting is always another element. It needs to play its part. When used correctly, the setting has as much agency as the other characters. The reader will believe this as well. Researching your setting. Whether it's a real place or a figment of your imagination, research is essential. There are many ways to approach this. Read about it. Read books, articles, and websites about the setting you're writing about. Learn about its history, its geography, its culture, and its people. Visit the location, but be careful. If possible, visit the setting in person. Take notes, take photos, and soak up the atmosphere. This will help you bring the setting to life in your writing. Connect with the people. Talk to people who live in or have visited the setting. Ask them about their experiences and their impressions. Understand the culture of the area. Research local customs and etiquette. This will help you avoid making cultural gaffes and create a more authentic portrayal of the setting. Pay close attention to the details. What are the sounds, smells, and sights of the setting? What are the local plants and animals? What kind of weather does it have? The more specific you are, the more real your setting will feel. Make the location real, so that what you show the reader will also be real to them. Take what you have and just run with it. Even in a magical world, a little bit of care can go a long way. Controlling the pace of your novel. Varying sentence structure. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. And sentence length is a key tool. Start with the short sentences. Short sentences can create a sense of urgency, excitement, or tension. They can also be used to emphasize a point or create a dramatic effect. It all relies on the moment. Then consider the long sentences. Long sentences can create a sense of peace, tranquility, or reflection. They can also be used to provide more detail and create a more immersive experience. A lot of detail is needed to create more for the reader. You also have to consider what happens between these sentences. Varying sentence length can create a more dynamic and engaging reading experience. It can also help you control the pace of the story. Short and punchy sentences tend to speed up the pace, while longer sentences tend to slow it down. So it is important to pick which works best for your story. Also, short and choppy sentences make it more intense. Use what is available. Experiment with different sentence structures and see what works best for you. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. You have to decide what feels best for your story and for your style. Remember to think about the reader and what works best for them. Always use the tools that you have in your writing arsenal. Using short and long scenes. The length of a scene can have a significant impact on the pacing of your story. Fast, short scenes can do that. Short scenes tend to speed up the pace. They are often used to create a sense of urgency, excitement, or tension. They're also good for conveying information quickly and efficiently. But remember to not tell too much. Just use the setting and characters to really give the reader a feeling of what is going on. Slow. Long scenes can provide that feeling for a story. Long scenes tend to slow down the pace. They are often used to develop characters, explore themes, or create a more immersive experience. Let the reader really sit down in the world for a little bit. You can use the setting to create a feeling of importance. Vary scene length. Varying scene length can create a more dynamic and engaging reading experience. It can also help you control the flow of information and the emotional impact of the story. Keep the reader guessing about what will happen next. Make it more than the sum of its parts. Pacing will allow you to accomplish anything in your book. You have the right to create. The power of storytelling will always be in your hands. Remember to have fun. Also consider not making each scene about the characters. Showing the state of the world can allow the reader to really have time to appreciate the story and the changes that have happened. Creating suspense. Suspense is the art of making the reader care about what happens next, even if they're not sure what that is. Here are some tips. The most important thing is to withhold information. Don't reveal everything at once. Meter out information slowly and deliberately, keeping the reader guessing and wanting more. Let the reader come to their own conclusions. If you set up the story right, then you can raise the stakes. Make the consequences of failure as high as possible. The more the characters have to lose, the more suspenseful the story will be. Not only that, the reader will want to do everything they can to see that the characters win. You can also create the illusion of danger. Hint at threats, create a sense of unease, and make the reader wonder what's lurking around the corner. Even the best times can have something lurking that needs to be dealt with. Change the pacing to the suspense. Use short, choppy sentences, quick cuts between scenes, and cliffhangers to increase the tension. Speed things up when the suspense is building and slow things down when the characters are in danger. Make sure the reader is getting the proper amount of time with everything. Have a moment of foreboding. Hint at future events through foreshadowing. This can create a sense of dread and make the reader wonder when the bad thing is going to happen. If you add a few Easter eggs, the reader will appreciate it. Suspense is all about manipulating the reader's emotions and keeping them engaged. It's a powerful tool that can make your story more thrilling, more exciting, and more memorable. Have fun and put it all in your story. Balancing description and action. Showing versus telling. Telling summarizes, explains, and states facts. Showing uses sensory details, action, and dialogue to create a vivid experience for the reader. Here are some tips to take. First, show the emotion. Don't just say they are feeling something. Instead of saying, John was angry, describe his clenched fists, his flushed face, and his tight jaw. Show the reader the physical manifestations of his anger. Second, show, don't tell, what the character is all about. Instead of saying, Mary was a kind person, show her helping an elderly woman cross the street or volunteering at a homeless shelter. This will help set the stage for everything. Third, be careful when it comes to what's around you. Instead of saying, the forest was dark and scary, describe the gnarled trees, the rustling leaves, and the eerie shadows. Make the setting come alive for the reader. Fourth, actions speak louder than words. Show, don't tell, what's happening in the story. Instead of saying, the battle was fierce, describe the clashing swords, the screams of the wounded, and the smell of blood. Finally, do both to balance everything. Knowing when to show and when to tell is key. You want to find that perfect spot where you have the best of both worlds. Showing is not just an effect, it is the best way to convey information. Tell just enough to keep the story going and show the rest. In this world, you will always find yourself creating something truly amazing, describing only what's necessary. Not every detail is worth sharing. Focus on what's essential to the story and the reader's experience. Focus on what matters. Only describe details that are relevant to the plot, the characters, or the themes of the story. Don't waste time on irrelevant details that don't add anything to the story. Also remember to show versus tell. It is always the better of the two. Ask what the purpose of the story is. Every detail you include should serve a purpose. Does it create atmosphere? Does it reveal character? Does it advance the plot? If a detail doesn't serve a purpose, it's probably unnecessary. It is always best to trust the reader to fill in the details. You don't need to describe every single thing in detail. Trust your readers to use their imagination to fill in the gaps. This can create a more immersive and engaging reading experience. That's why they are reading. The rule of threes will help as well. Focus on the three most important details and leave the rest to the reader's imagination. This will create a more vivid and memorable impression. The more that is up to the reader, the more they will engage. Always be aware of the pacing. Don't let descriptions bog down the pacing of your story. Keep the story moving and keep the reader engaged. Pacing is just as important as all the other things we have talked about. With this information, you can give your readers a good story. You have all of the keys to what makes a book a book. With every decision you make, they are all tools to help the readers follow along. What is your goal? You need to give them a purpose to engage and keep reading. You can do it using action to drive the plot. Action shouldn't just be window dressing. It should be a catalyst for change. Action should reveal character. Use action scenes to show the reader what your characters are made of. How do they react under pressure? What choices do they make? What are they willing to sacrifice? Show the reader. The setting should show the reader as well. Use action scenes to reveal the setting and the world building. What are the rules of this world? What are the dangers? What are the opportunities? It's more than just showing the reader. Don't forget the stakes. Make sure the stakes are high in your action scenes. What will the characters lose if they fail? What will they gain if they succeed? High stakes will make the action more meaningful and more engaging. What is the motivation? Every action should be motivated by something. What are the characters trying to achieve? What are they trying to avoid? Their motivations should be clear to the reader. Let them see the big picture. You must always change. Action scenes should always change something, either internally or externally. What has changed? Action is not just about fighting and explosions. It's about any kind of activity that moves the story forward and reveals something about the characters and the world. It all means that your readers will keep engaged and turn the page to find out what happens next. Chapter 9. Overcoming Writer's Block. Identifying the causes of writer's block. Fear of failure. The fear of not being good enough, of not meeting expectations, of creating something that's just bad. It can paralyze you. What do? Recognize the fear, and what are you afraid of? Acknowledge that you're afraid of failing. Don't try to suppress it or ignore it. Just admit that it's there. When you know what you are up against, you can plan to beat it. Lower your expectations and try writing something new. You don't have to write a masterpiece. Just focus on getting the words down on paper. You can always revise and improve it later. Let yourself put what is in your mind down on the page. You can always focus on the process, not the product. Enjoy the act of writing itself. Focus on the creativity, the exploration, and the self-expression. Let the reader deal with it. You can also break it down. Break down the task into smaller, more manageable steps. Instead of trying to write an entire chapter, focus on writing just one scene or even just one paragraph. Small goals will help you in the war. Don't forget, everyone has been in this position before. Just remember that. Even some of the best writers in history have struggled with not wanting to write. Fear of failure can be crippling, but it doesn't have to be. By acknowledging your fear, lowering your expectations, and focusing on the process, you can overcome writer's block and get back to writing. Remember that you're the only one holding yourself back. Perfectionism. The belief that everything has to be flawless before you can move forward. It's a trap. Perfection is a fantasy. It's impossible to write a perfect novel on the first try. Embrace the idea that your first draft is going to be messy and imperfect. You can always revise and improve it later. You have a job to do. Don't get caught up on the smallest details. Let the little things go. Don't get bogged down in the details. Focus on the big picture and get the story down on paper. You can always go back and polish the details later. Just move on. Allow yourself to write a shitty first draft. Embrace the idea that your first draft is going to be terrible. This will take the pressure off and allow you to write more freely. It's important to keep writing. You must always tell yourself it is worth it. Try new things. Instead of trying to write the perfect sentence, try writing something completely different. This will help you get out of your head and into the flow of writing. This can be as simple as thinking about it more or going outside. Perfectionism can be a major obstacle to writing, but it doesn't have to be. By accepting imperfection, focusing on the big picture, and setting realistic goals, you can overcome perfectionism and get back to writing. No one is judging your writing as hard as you are. Everyone has some things about themselves they're insecure about. Just do your thing and be amazing. Lack of motivation. That feeling of I just don't want to. It's a killer. What are you writing? You need to reconnect to your passion. Remind yourself why you wanted to write this story in the first place. What were you hoping to accomplish? What message were you hoping to convey? Are you doing things in order? Set realistic goals. That will help a lot. Break down the task into smaller, more manageable steps. Instead of trying to write an entire chapter, focus on writing just one scene or even just one paragraph. Have you taken a moment to reward yourself? Give yourself small rewards for reaching your goals. This will help you stay motivated and on track. Rewards are always a good thing. Remember to change your environment, even in a small way. Sometimes, all you need is a change of scenery to get your creative juices flowing. Try writing in a different room, at a different time of day, or even at a different location altogether. Go outside and listen to the sounds. What do you notice? How are you treating your characters? If you aren't making the characters who they should be, then you need to show them the right way. Make the characters better and show their growth. You can always make them who they should be. A lack of motivation can be a difficult obstacle to overcome, but it doesn't have to be permanent. By reconnecting to your passion, setting realistic goals, changing your environment, and seeking support, you can reignite your motivation and get back to writing. You can do it. It just takes belief in what you're doing. Techniques for overcoming writer's block. Free writing. A technique where you just write whatever comes to mind, without worrying about grammar, spelling, or structure. Focus on getting the words on paper. Set a timer for 10 to 15 minutes and just write whatever comes to mind. Don't stop to edit or revise. Just keep writing until the timer goes off. Be sure to just keep going. Don't censor yourself. Don't worry about whether what you're writing is good or bad. Just let your thoughts flow freely. Don't worry about the flow of sentences. Write what comes to mind. Grammar, sentences, and everything else can get worked out later. Don't censor yourself, and just have some fun. Explore different directions. Use free writing to explore different aspects of your story. Write about your characters, your setting, your plot, or your themes. Don't have a set path in mind. Just go where the story takes you. Remember to let yourself just express. Free writing can be a great way to get out of your head and into the flow of writing. It can help you overcome writer's block, generate new ideas, and discover new aspects of your story. Let yourself take the wheel. Changing your writing environment. Sometimes, your usual writing space can become stale and uninspiring. You should take a break to try somewhere new. If you always write at your desk, try writing in a different room, at a coffee shop, or even outside. It's important that you get away. It helps you to break what is blocking you. You also can change the time of day. If you always write in the morning, try writing in the evening or at night. Sometimes, a change of routine can be all you need to get your creative juices flowing. You might find out that you are a different type of writer than you have always thought. Turn off all distractions and focus. Eliminate distractions such as social media, email, and other interruptions. Create a space where you can focus and concentrate on your writing. Turn off the phone. Put on music. Tell everyone to go away. Consider what your needs are. What do you need to create a new environment for yourself to properly create your writing? This can help you think about what to consider or what to do. These needs must be about more than your personal needs. Think about how that helps the writing. Don't put too much pressure on everything. If one day doesn't work out, then try again tomorrow. If that doesn't work, find something else that does. This is an art, and the goal is for the reader to see that. Setting small, achievable goals. The key is to avoid feeling overwhelmed. Tiny steps forward are still progress. First, be specific to what you want. Instead of saying, I want to write more, say, I want to write 500 words today. The clearer your goal, the easier it will be to achieve. Always be thinking about where your book is heading, what you can change, and everything else that works in the story. Second, be realistic. Don't set goals that are too ambitious or unrealistic. This will only lead to frustration and disappointment. The most important thing is to know what you can do. Only you know you. Third, break that down. Break down your goals into smaller, more manageable steps. Instead of trying to write an entire chapter, focus on writing just one scene or even just one paragraph. The small steps make the hard things all the more achievable. Fourth, time to reward. Give yourself small rewards for reaching your goals. This will help you stay motivated and on track. Always be nice to yourself. Lastly, you will achieve your goals. It can be used to do anything. If you focus on everything that we have talked about, there is nothing that can stop you. Maintaining momentum throughout the writing process. Establishing a writing routine. Consistency is key. It's about making writing a regular part of your life, not just something you do when you feel like it. Find a time that is just for you. Set aside a specific time each day or each week for writing. This will help you make writing a priority and avoid distractions. For all who write and who create, this is the most important thing. Also, find a writing space. Create a designated writing space where you can focus and concentrate. This space should be free from distractions and comfortable for you. Set aside what can be a place of honor, a place where you can be the most free. What kind of goals are you making? Set realistic goals for each writing session. This will help you stay on track and avoid feeling overwhelmed. Remember, just writing something is important. It may not be perfect, but you are still writing. Remember that all days are not the same. Be flexible with your routine. Life happens. There will be days when you can't stick to your routine. That's okay. Just get back on track as soon as possible. And most importantly, don't punish yourself. Always have the correct mindset. To make the goal, it isn't about if, but when. Write down where you are going. Writing down what you are heading towards is always great to look back on when things get tough. Also, you have all of these great things you have learned throughout this book. Make use of them, rewarding yourself for progress. Writing a novel is a marathon, not a sprint. You need to celebrate the milestones along the way to stay motivated. Reward everything. Set small, achievable goals and reward yourself when you reach them. This will help you stay motivated and on track. The more you reward, the more you enjoy. How should you reward yourself? Choose rewards that you enjoy and that are meaningful to you. This could be anything from a special treat to a relaxing activity to a new writing tool. Be proud of your accomplishments. Take time to reflect on your progress and celebrate your accomplishments. This will help you stay motivated and focused on your goals. Don't think about what you haven't done, but focus on what you have accomplished. Change your perspective. Rewarding yourself shouldn't be something that is forced. Look at why you did it and be proud of it. The point of all of this is to show your body and mind that you have reached a goal. With those feelings, it will be far easier to stay engaged. The end goal is for you to have your goals all met. Finding a writing community. Writing can be a lonely business. A writing community can provide support, encouragement, and feedback. There are multiple options. Join a writing group. Look for a local writing group or workshop where you can share your work and receive feedback from other writers. Look for that support system as well. Make use of technology as much as you can. Join an online forum or community. There are many online forums and communities where you can connect with other writers, share your work, and receive feedback. You don't have to meet them in person. Take classes to both see the work and learn more. Attend writing conferences and workshops. These events can provide opportunities to learn from experienced writers, network with other writers, and get inspired. Not only that, they can help you to expand your writing skills. Take your skills forward. Share your work. This makes things more real and helps you to move forward. Make friends. The main reason you are joining this community isn't only about skill, but also about feeling supported. Friends are so important to making it through writing and life. You can't get through writing by yourself. Everyone needs help and a shoulder to cry on at some point. This will be so important throughout your writing journey. This can be so much more than words on a page as well. Chapter 10. Turning your plan into a draft. From outline to first draft. Treating the first draft as a discovery process. The first draft isn't about perfection. It's about exploration. Be the river and allow the book to take you along. Don't be afraid to deviate from your outline. The first draft is a chance to explore new ideas, develop your characters, and see where the story takes you. Have an open mind and listen to what the characters tell you about themselves. Listen to the characters and let them guide you. They may have ideas of their own about where the story should go. Don't be afraid to be bad. It can be so scary to want it to be good that it doesn't get done. Just let the words flow and then work with what you have later. The key is to find the truth. Be open to discovering new things about your story and your characters. The first draft is a chance to learn and grow as a writer. This can be difficult. You may need to unlearn much of what you were taught. But the important thing is to have fun, just right, focusing on getting the story down. It's not about making it pretty, it's about getting it done. Take things step by step and set aside everything else. Don't worry about grammar, spelling, or style. Just focus on getting the story down on paper. These can all be considered later. Don't look back unless it is needed. Resist the urge to edit or revise as you go. Just keep writing forward. Have a correct attitude. You can do it, and you are amazing. Let the process show you that. Always know the goal and what you want it to be. What matters to you, and that will allow you to write the best you can. That is your goal for each sentence, paragraph, and page. The most important is the finish. Complete it and have some fun. You did it, and you have a completed book. Take that momentum and do it again, ignoring perfection at this stage. The first draft is not the time to be a critic. It's the time to be a creator. You have to be willing to be horrible. Embrace the idea that your first draft is going to be messy, imperfect, and even downright terrible. This will take the pressure off and allow you to write more freely. You are not defined by the process, but the work that you did will be something amazing. Always be loving with the process. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. It's part of the writing process. If you can't have fun, then you will never win. Be brave. Take risks and experiment with new ideas. The first draft is a chance to try new things and see what works. Be brave and don't be afraid to make mistakes. The only people that learn are those that have failed. Try new things. Don't get bogged down in the details. Focus on the big picture and get the story down on paper. You can always go back and polish the details later if you still want to. All of those combine to be great momentum. Now the goal is to use it. Remember, it is just a first draft. Setting realistic goals and deadlines. Breaking down the writing process into manageable chunks. A novel isn't written in a day. It's written one scene, one paragraph, one sentence at a time. Define your big picture. Start by breaking down the writing process into its major components: outlining, character development, world building, drafting, revising, editing, and proofreading. Make it all smaller. Break down each component into smaller, more manageable tasks. For example, instead of trying to write an entire chapter in one day, focus on writing just one scene or even just one paragraph. Give yourself a schedule and set time limits on everything. Schedule specific times for writing each day or each week. Even if you have the whole day, only devote a part of it to the process. Be sure to respect that schedule, but also be kind if you miss it. Keep the chunks in mind. Make sure that each and every chunk helps to create a cohesive story. You don't want to change something if it does not do that. There is no need to add what is not necessary. This will all help you. All of this is to remind you to focus on those steps. These will really make it an easier process for you to work on as you create your book. Just try to think about what is next to you and not the whole picture. Using a calendar or planner to track progress. A visual representation of your goals can be a powerful motivator. There are many options to use, but start with one to learn the rules. Choose a calendar or planner that works best for you. This could be a paper planner, a digital calendar, or a task management app. Whatever tool you choose, make sure it's something that you'll actually use. Don't be afraid to use more than one. Record everything that is needed in the goals. Schedule writing time and deadlines in your calendar or planner. Be sure to include specific tasks, such as write scene 1 or revise chapter 3. Writing time should be treated just as importantly as other scheduled events. Also include deadlines so you know when something should be done. Create a routine and make sure you use it every day. Check your calendar or planner each day and make sure you're on track. If you're falling behind, adjust your schedule or your goals as needed. This will help you to be mindful of what's going on, what is necessary to be accomplished. Use your calendar or planner to track your progress. Mark off tasks as you complete them and note any setbacks or challenges. Use it for more than just the story, but what goes on outside of it too. When everything is finished, then reward yourself when everything is done. Celebrate your accomplishments and acknowledge the work you've put in. Set a reminder for it and let the good times roll. Visualizing your goals and tracking your progress can help you stay motivated and on track. It can also help you identify potential problems and make adjustments as needed. What are you going to do to show that this process and that you have completed it? Adjusting your goals as needed. Life happens. Unforeseen circumstances arise. Don't beat yourself up. Adjust your sails. React as often and with an open mind. Review your goals and deadlines regularly. Are they still realistic? Are they still aligned with your overall vision for the novel? Always be aware of your process. What is working and what isn't? Pay attention to how you're feeling. Are you feeling overwhelmed or discouraged? Are you making progress or are you stuck? Are you having fun? Make the hard decisions to cut what doesn't serve the goal. Be honest with yourself. If you're missing deadlines often, are they realistic? Are they impacting your health? Make sure your needs are being addressed in and out of your story. Set boundaries. If you find your creative work is impacting your life, that means that it might need to be cut back. If the schedule is the problem, what do you need to do to make it better? If it is a personal thing, then that may be the case that there just isn't the time right now. The most important thing is to have fun. It is hard and takes time, and to succeed, the process must be enjoyable. If it is not, and does not have the ability to be, then there might be a better path forward than what you are doing. Staying motivated and inspired. Rereading your favorite books. Sometimes, the best way to get your own creative juices flowing is to immerse yourself in the work of others. It can reconnect you with your love of story. Remind yourself why you wanted to be a writer in the first place. What made you fall in love with stories? Go back and experience those feelings again. If you listen, then you can study the greatness. Pay attention to what makes these books so special. What are the elements that you love? What can you learn from them? See if it inspires ideas. Reading great books can spark new ideas for your own writing. It can help you think about your characters, your plot, and your themes in new ways. What can you take and make your own? Be the best and have fun. Remind yourself that you're capable of creating something amazing too. If they can do it, so can you. The goal is to read what moves you, to let it affect you. It can give you the boost that you need to continue. Be proud of your accomplishments. Be aware of who you want to be. Joining a writing group. Writing can be a solitary pursuit, but it doesn't have to be. Be part of something. Connect with other writers. Share your work. Afterwards, empowering you for the future. You've reached the end of this guide, but your journey as a novelist is just beginning. Remember your toolbox. You now have a wealth of knowledge and tools at your disposal. You understand the importance of a compelling hook, the power of believable characters, the structure of a well-plotted story, and the importance of consistent point of view. Don't just forget all this. You can solve your problems. You know how to overcome writer's block, how to set realistic goals, and how to maintain momentum throughout the writing process. Put these tools to work. Be strong, be brave, and be you. Writing a novel is a challenging but rewarding experience. Don't give up. Keep writing, keep learning, and keep growing. It's all about doing the best that you can. Be authentic and take on the world. The story is always in your hands. You're the one steering the ship. It is your chance and your take to create the story that you wanted and can take. Don't look back or compare, but look forward. Let those skills take you to that place. There is nothing that anyone can do because this is your journey. You got this. Let it happen. Let it happen. Let it happen. Now go. Create. Inspire. Tell your story. The world is waiting.